future, and I would advise most people to stick to the same regimen.
What will you do next week?
I will play in the Russian Super Final, hopefully.
That's over the board.
That is, over the board in Moscow. I'm traveling a couple of days from now. Well, all of this is sort of, squeaky bum time, frankly, but it's, you can stock up on N95s and what have you, and it's only a 1 hour flight, so it shouldn't be that bad, but
how does it work over there? It's with masks or with these glass walls, or just
I would assume there would be plexiglass, although I haven't actually asked. I'm assuming they will do the right things. They being the Russian Chess Federation, I'm sure they are taking precautions, and I mean, no, like the early indicators, are they taking it seriously? There is no opening ceremony for obvious reasons, and I'm assuming there will be no spectators allowed, and so on and so forth. So the exposure, if you're not planning to do much social / nightlife in Moscow between rounds, the exposure should not be great, frankly. But still, we've all gotten so used to staying at home in the last half a year that it does feel slightly weird to be actually planning to go somewhere.
Yeah, in the game, Maxime has built up the bathtub again and again. First try here, Levon captured en passant, avoided taking on a1 here, not to give up the A file. And Maxime rebuilds it. White is slightly better?
Yeah, white is definitely, these types of positions, they look symmetrical. They look like there's not much going on, but they often end up not being anywhere near as harmless as they might appear at first glance. Although, I mean, we go rook e8, I assume. We hope to play queen c7 next move if white doesn't take on a8. And far be it from me to suggest it's panic stations, but white clearly enjoys this a little bit more. And knight g5, queen c7, I couldn't find the follow-up. Yeah, I thought knight g5, knight f5, intending some sacrifices, but then I think d6, d5 solves that issue sufficiently, as far as I could ascertain. Yeah, and black can play b5, building his own bathtub, says Midnight Fox, and Midnight Fox is absolutely correct. Yeah, we could have a bathtub off, so to speak, eventually, but not anymore.
Maxime expertly prevents it, even breaking his own bathtub. He feels it's worth it.
It's apparently much more important to prevent the building of a bathtub than it is to keep yours going for as long as possible.
That is an important strategic theme that hasn't been covered enough. You'd rather both smell than both be crispy, clean, and bathed in chess. Knight f5, rook to d8.
Yeah, rook b1. It continues being quite annoying for black unless you can play d5 and start your own sort of counterplay in the center. Allowing bc, queen b7, I think, is not that nice for black. And just in general, you do want to start, asking some questions of your own. The pawn on e4 probably is actually hanging. If white takes on d5, we take with the c pawn, queen c8 becomes a topic. Rook b1 looked very nice for a second, but I'm not entirely sure how we're supposed to meet this d5 counter punch. So maybe it's just fine for black now.
Monsieur Maxime is slightly ahead on the clock, plays knight to d2, covering the e4 pawn.
Yeah, d4, knight e4 makes sense. I think black could definitely spend a tempo on something like queen c8 here, bringing more of his forces into the game. And now we can still go queen b7, I guess. Intending, to interpose queen takes c8 there. Stop d, queen takes f5 counterplay.
The computer just keeps saying it's equal, but over the board, the knight on g6 means that black still has some problems to solve. No, knight e4, he doesn't like that.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure that optically, this doesn't look equal at all.
No, now it's saying white is much, much better after knight e8, d4. Computer was very unhappy. So,
even something simple like d4, e4, knight d4. Yeah, the pawn on c6 is so weak, actually, in many of these positions that... Yeah, or rook c7, because I assume rook d3, rook c8 was losing a piece there. And even now, as you can see, Levon cannot take on d3 because of rook c8 threats. So white probably is just a healthy pawn up after something like knight d6. It's not always easy to convert them into a full point. And also, I'm not even
sure. I have a technical question. Rook c7, knight c7, good or not good?
Whoa. Was probably a decent move. Yeah, probably was preferable to whatever it was that Levon played. And
that's sort of rare, no? Like,
yeah, those things don't happen very often. And I mean, Levon just didn't expect to be, like, you just don't expect any pieces will be hanging. So you do kind of autopilot the move you were planning to make and waltz right past it. But
still shocking. It's the first game. One world-class player hangs a rook. The other world-class player does not capture it. What's going on?
Yeah, it's quite strange.
Now
and MVL is probably just waiting now after rook f7. This knight ending. Although, hang on a second, c7. I mean, the pawn is probably actually falling very quickly. It might not be that bad.
He's seen all this. Knight d6, king c7.
Yeah. He is just in time to go king c7 there, and 3 against 2 with the white king still on g1 should be reasonably safe, actually. I remember I haven't played very many of these, but I got this as a weaker side against Kramnik once, and I thought, now I'm definitely going to lose it because, this is Kramnik and this is me, and I lose every single endgame to Kramnik regardless. And I held it quite comfortably, and afterwards I remember I had a conversation with Sasha Grishuk, and he told me, yeah, you just don't lose them unless you blunder something really badly. Knight g5 check, hang on, are we sure this is a draw? I don't understand anything that's happening anymore. I mean, this probably, hang on a second. I was going to mention the opposition there, but yeah, probably is a draw.
Yep.
Levon probably knew this was a draw when he was allowing knight g5 check, but still, it's a very brave decision, and I would have been more worried about h takes g5 maybe even, but I guess that's
draw
fine.
Agreed.
Yeah, and,
second game kicks off without any delays, and Levon plays 1b3.
Yeah, Lev not belonging here to the same school of thought as MVL had, not playing his main openings, just starting with this, and MVL decides not to do the fashionable thing there. The line that...
What's the fashionable thing? Bishop d6? Or?
Oh, that's the old school. I think currently they're doing some kind of a weird d5, bishop b5,
g6.
No, specifically that gambit that Kamil Plichta played against me in what's it called, the Halloween thingy. d5, bishop b5, knight g7, or possibly knight g7, bishop... No, yeah, I wouldn't have played it. That gambit. It looks very weird, but it was played in one of the computer championships by quite a strong program. So
it's not that silly. I actually had that. I think I mentioned it.
And that would have been an interesting try, because I suspect Levon would have not come unprepared as I have, and I was completely lost by move 15 with white there. Instead, they're playing something quite relaxed, I would say. The bishop on b5 will, I assume, eventually get traded for the knight. Although you could make an argument for bishop a4 actually after a6. It doesn't get caught on a4. So you could postpone taking on c6, hoping to trade it for a bishop on d7 later.
a6 plate, takes, queen c2. So black has the 2 bishops. White has more space. Would you prefer white here?
A little bit, but I don't know. It's yeah, I guess we could eventually see white go for some kind of d5, e4, f4 push. It's not that easy to figure out how to make progress here. Maybe you go knight g3 and you play f4. even without d5, but that seems wrong. Leaving black the option of opening something in the center before pushing f4 doesn't look right. Yeah, there's definitely some spatial issues for black, but it's not horrible. It's not horrible. I don't know.
Bishop f8, Maxim, not interested in releasing the tension.
Not when the knight is still on e2. I think e4 knight takes d4 is not very logical from black. You want to continue making the improving moves for now. a4. I was about to mention b7, b5 was maybe playable if you continue allowing it for much longer. So I think Levon stopping it, or at least making it into a pawn sacrifice, is definitely useful here.
h5. Wow, looking for counterplay.
Yeah, and also just making knight g3 a lot less attractive. I think it's a weird case of a very active looking move being, at least in part, actually a prophylactic idea more than anything else. Because knight g3 definitely is on the cards at some point. From why the knight on e2 really doesn't have many other squares to look forward to. Although you could maybe make an argument for d5, d5, knight d5, and then the knight could go to c3 later. I've been looking at this thinking, you know, maybe this is somewhat sensible.
Played pawn to e4, and Maxim says now is the time, now that e4 is under attack, the rook has to recapture. He takes on d4 and plays pawn to g6.
Yeah, this should be now quite a pleasant advantage for white, actually. I'm not sure MVL needed to take on d4 so quickly. The rook will just retreat back to d1, and we get a position you sometimes get in the King's Indians. There are certain lines of the King's Indians where specifically this material balance with this structure appears, and then I've played them when I was much younger. They're not much fun with black. Never really enjoyed those types of positions at all.
Yeah, this looks like one of these 7 ED4 lines gone wrong for black.
Yeah, exactly. H5 is quite useful though, because it kind of stops white from, you know, encroaching on the king's side. Sometimes, yeah.
Stopping g4?
I mean, there obviously are some lines in the ED4 King's Indians where, you know, g4 and knight f5 is sort of the refutation. Probably not here though. I'm probably, you know, being a little bit too optimistic when I refer to that as an actual thing that could happen.
But isn't that your common weakness, that sometimes you're a little too optimistic?
Yeah, I'm universally well known for it, obviously. Yeah, now g4 will actually be played, which is kind of interesting that MVL more or less forces Lev to do this. Maybe he is intending to go c5, b5. So he thinks that provoking g4 will weaken the white position in general just enough to start counterplay on the other flank, because there will be all kinds of sacrifices you will need to calculate if your pawn is on g4. Levon could, of course, just, well, ignoring it is maybe hard, but yeah, gh and then rook g1 might be the lesser of two evils.
Goes gh.
Yeah, but still knight g2, I feel like b5 is coming. I think you don't play c5 without the intention of playing b5. Forcing white to play knight e2, knight f4 is not really all that great. White wants to do it anyway.
I understand. b5 on the board. Maxim Vachier-Lagrave looking for counterplay. Would you say he's one of the guys who does not value material as highly as, obviously, other things being equal, as the initiative?
I think he would definitely, prefer to be the side attacking over the material. I feel a certain kinship to him there, because that's always been my approach whenever possible as well. Whenever somebody sacrifices something to me, my first instinct is to look for a way to return the material immediately and try to turn the tables on them. I like knight g5 though. Knight g5 was a very clever way to kind of stop the queen side collapsing and prevent the rook on b8 from activating at least immediately. So yeah, very, very sharp position. Both sides, I think it's generally not really both sides here. I think only white is potentially giving mate here with like knight f4, knight h5 ideas. The rook probably has to go to h8 very quickly. Knight f4, rook h8 might be more or less required. Yeah, queen d8 very logical, hoping to land it on f6 where it will stop most of white's immediate attacking ideas. Yeah, I'm expecting rook h8. We can continue chasing the bishop away, but let's say rook g3, the bishop goes all the way back to, I guess, d7. There's no real point to putting it on c8. And then black, if black gets to play queen f6 next move, black is probably completely fine. So Levon has to find something here. Or, hang on a second, after queen f6, we can take on g6 3 times, right? And then queen g3 check. And queen takes d6. So that's probably very good for white. Yeah, so that might mean that MVL has to play rook h6. Yeah, exactly.
It does. But now rook g5.
Yeah, but now rook g5.
Yechin's gun in the making.
And also queen f6, knight h5 check is a problem. You have issues putting your pieces on the best squares. Queen e7, queen g3 probably creates a threat of knight takes g6, I assume. So would be, I expect that move to be made quite confidently. But Levon actually is passing. Okay, so he thinks, whoa, that's an interesting one, because you play h4, h5, but you don't actually threaten hg6 because it's not a legal move, and you will have to play king.
Isn't that weird to expose your own king like this? Maybe there was no way out already, but
yeah, wouldn't have been my first choice. But on the other hand, we have kind of bottled up the rook on h6, and I'm assuming intending to go king g2, and then maybe hg6 will become a threat. But queen b2 check is annoying, and even hg6 rook h2 check maybe is a problem, so I'm not sure it's a threat. Rook a8 is, yeah, that's also clever. hg rook a2 is basically mate, so you have to go like rook f1, rook f2, but then your attack has kind of fizzled, and the c-pawn is running. Yeah, I'm not sure I like what Levon has done to his position here. It was a
nice game by MVL, though, turning the tables like that when it looked like it was getting checkmated.
You just go c3 here, and if white wins the exchange on the king side, I think the c-pawn probably wins. Like c3, hg, fg, knight h5 check. There's not. Yeah. I think c3, c2 is very, very logical. Maybe no, I was about to say you can chase it with the king, but then queen b2 probably wins. Yeah, does look to me like you're supposed to play c3 here.
MVL agrees. Knight e2 back.
And also stunning clock situation. Look at this, 9 seconds against a minute and a half in this position. That's really quite something. Yeah, that loses to rook h2, rook e2 in the end there. Yeah, that's first blood. Yeah, that's first blood for MVL.
Nice game by MVL, turning the tables there. He takes the lead, 1.5-half. Beautiful. And now back to the gioco pianissimo, as we say in Italian.
Yeah, I wonder if they will repeat the exact same line, but Levon, I think, did not really have too much to worry about out of the opening. I think he could have played slightly more precisely. And
wasn't he slightly worse than just suffering? That seems like a great blitz situation for Maxime, no? Maybe he has a micro improvement, let's see. Because this line, at least when I checked like a year or two ago, this was supposed to be nothing special, no, for white. There's 97 bishop a4. Maybe things have changed.
Yeah, he goes a4 in this one, which is also very logical. Normally, just trying to kind of corral the bishop on b5, force it to be traded for the knight on c6. Maybe it could always go to c4, but that's maybe you force white into some concessions, and just generally.
And if d4 isn't this, yeah, that's a question of timing. No, yeah, he plays d4 and knight e7. That's his point.
Yeah, these are sort of weirdly concrete positions for all the quiet vibes they're giving off. There's a lot of precise move orders which you might have to demonstrate.
Have you mastered the Italian move order jungle?
No.
Or do you get confused? Pawn on h3, pawn on h6, this and that.
I've completely given up. I even these days occasionally get good positions in the Italian purely by chance, it feels to me. But No, I've completely given up on trying to make sense of all the move orders. But having looked at it for quite some time due to all kinds of obligations, I feel like I maybe understand the spirit of the opening a little bit better than I used to, but I still have no idea about move orders.
Rook fd8, is that in the spirit?
Well, I mean, the pawn on a4 is kind of hanging if you go rook ad8. So I guess I'm not sure if he's intending to play d5 if that move is still allowed on the next move. I would assume not. It pretty much never works with like half of your pieces being kind of sequestered.
The general problem in these positions for black is that the queen is a bit out of play if things happen on the king side. No, it doesn't have an easy way over here. So black, even though computers say it's fine, has to be sort of careful, no?
Yeah, I was about to say he probably will play queen b6 to start solving this issue, but he's maybe solving it by playing b5 and the next move c5 or c6. But I feel like c5 is coming if it's allowed, bringing the queen sort of more into some kind of touching distance of the king side. Yeah, d5 and then in the end queen takes d8 is a bit of a threat now. I suspect.
Rook 81. Is this pawn hanging or not? Is this a bluff?
Might be a bit of a semi bluff, yeah, because I think it's possible to get scared about that position with the rooks versus the queen, but I don't see any mate. Maybe you can actually go greedy. Just take on a2 here and say, show me why you think I get mated or whatever it is that you think will happen there.
Levon does take.
Yeah. I think it's a principled reply, and there's no immediate, obvious case for not doing it, and then you feel I might as well, because this will give me winning chances, and those are important.
Especially after that loss with the white pieces last game. Levon probably happy to get a bit of a fight here. Where's Levon at? Are you in touch with Levon? Do you guys chat?
Not a great deal. No, I'm really hoping to catch up with all the gang next to knight takes h6. That's quite something. I think MVL. I'm not sure he was actually planning to do that when he played rook a1, but now that he's given up the pawn, he feels that normal play is no longer really on the table. This normally doesn't work, but.
What's the follow-up? Knight g5 doesn't create a threat, does it?
Yeah, exactly. Like h4, h5, but queen e7 already prepares for that sufficiently. Yeah, I like c5. c5 saying basically, I have so much time that just spending a tempo on preparing queen e7 is good enough.
Knight takes c5 plate.
Yeah, GG 95 is serious though. I completely missed that. If black ends up having to give up the pawn on g6 as well, white will have a lot of play, of course. So after something like queen e7.
Your first instinct is like queen c7, whatever takes,
yeah.
And queen g7, right?
But then after queen f5, I'm not sure how good this is for black, because we can't actually get the queens off the board quickly enough, I think. And that endgame would be quite good for black, but I don't think they get an endgame.
Let's see what Levon comes up with. I'm assuming he's in Yerevan these days, yeah?
Probably, yeah. I don't know for sure, but yeah, that would be
Me neither, but
yeah.
The topic came up recently and I was told he's in Yerevan.
Yeah.
Rook takes d1 plate.
Yeah, it's interesting that MVL is pausing here. There must be something I'm not seeing. But yeah, I mean, rook takes d5 is just such an obvious follow-up. And yeah, Levon says there's no mate here. I can play queen e7 next move. Like e5 looks extremely scary, but you still have queen e7 as a reply. I probably still play e5, queen e7, queen c6 here. Just to, try to pick up some additional material. There is queen e8 though, which, I mean, looks awkward, but might not be stupid at all.
Also rook d8, no?
Oh, yeah, rook d8 is very strong. Yeah, I missed that. Rook d8 is quite good. Yeah, so
h4 plate,
h4,
and queen e7. I don't get this. Now the pawn is hanging. I want queen 6 here.
Yeah, but I think all the things we just said still apply. Like rook d8 does not become weaker because we have played h4 instead of e5. Although I think white actually benefits from having made the Luft. Like queen g2 after the trade of rooks, and let's say queen takes b5. Queen g2 will generate a lot less of a threat. Is there anything smarter than rook d8 here? I don't currently see it. I don't think there is much of a case for keeping the rooks on.
Aronian taking his time, still has almost 2 minutes, calculating the consequences, and he does play rook d8.
Yeah, I think we take, and I think that we take specifically on b5 to put the entire queenside structure in place, so to speak. Yeah, making
h5 played.
He includes h5. Interesting, because I was kind of worried about bringing that knight into play for black, kind of forcing black to develop that knight to good squares. But I guess the MVL feels differently. Yeah, like not now. If we take on b5, queen g5 looks kind of awkward. Maybe we're supposed to take on c5 now, but then queen d2 looks awkward as well. I don't know. I'm assuming black is doing very well for a given value of very well.
Yeah, the engine bar next to the live board that you guys can see as well. Agrees, gives black an advantage. We don't see any computer moves, but we can see the evaluation saying that black is better here.
Yeah. I would still, like, if it doesn't lose, I would still prefer to take on b5 to have at least a hope of destroying more of the queen side. But MVL disagrees because, I mean, queen c5 does stop queen g5, for instance. So the queen feels like it's participating in the game more. Knight e2 check, king f1, bishop c4, I guess, and then white has to play king e1, and knight f4 is kind of...
looks like mate.
Yeah, it just looks like mate, honestly. This may have been missed. This may have been missed by MVL. He is in a lot of trouble now. I don't really see how he continues even.
Looks like resigns. Yeah. King e1, knight f4, g3, knight g2, checkmate. It's pretty.
Yeah, you can play f3 there, but then queen h4 check, I assume, ends up. No, but yeah, we have the g2 square. Maybe there is no immediate mate, and then the game still continues, because if white gives one check, white might actually give quite a few more. Like let's say after knight g2, king f2, queen d2, king g3, you can take on c2, but I assume that actually allows a perpetual. So I'm guessing Lev will just go knight f4 here and claim that he's made a lot of progress. A claim which is probably completely true.
Dr. Levon playing a beautiful game with the black pieces here.
Yeah, it seemed like things were pretty much well in hand for MVL, and then he just gave up the pawn on a2, and it spiraled out of control from there. Yeah. But MVL, I mean, if Lev instantly strikes back with the black pieces, he'll be a lot happier. Just generally, you know, winning a game early is always very valuable. This looks like we win the queen here with queen d2, knight e2. Yeah, there should be a way to pick up this queen somehow. Queen e1, king g5 is the only move. And then, yeah, we can include bishop a6 at any point. It feels like we should be just winning by force, even though I don't see it yet. But yeah, there's a definite feeling that with precise play, we should just be winning by force. There's also the option of playing queen d8 check, taking on g5 after white interposes, and taking on c3 maybe in that position and winning that way. But
ooh la la.
Feels a bit miserable not to try to give mate here.
Queen e1 check plate. King has to go to g5, if not bishop e6. Picks it up, and there he comes. Queen g3 check, and king f6.
Yeah, g7, f8, and then d8, and then after king e5, there's queen e7 mate. That's actually, I think that was mate in 3. Well, not 3, but that was actually mate, queen g7, queen f8. You have to go to f6, and now we go queen d8. And we have actually successfully chased it down. Queen e7 here. So that was a bit of a miss.
Beautiful.
Yeah, Levon actually ends up doing what I referred to earlier, which I assume is also winning, but giving mate is slightly preferable to this endgame. You might actually not win this endgame. I don't think you're absolutely guaranteed to win it.
Computer agrees with you, said it's a draw. Does not like king h5 for whatever reason. I guess it won king f6.
Yeah, just go for this. This does look like, you know, yeah, white should be. Is it? Hang on. Is it draw? Oh yeah, we just go king d6, c5, and c4. Yeah, we did this one.
Wow, yeah, that's a narrow escape.
Yeah, that's a very big miss for Lev here, who I kind of I lost the clocks there for a second. I closed down the transmission and I'm only watching your screen, so I don't know how much time he had when he didn't play queen g7 check. But if it wasn't 3 seconds, I would assume that he could have just stopped there and calculated that line. It wasn't a very difficult line.
So you said scoring a win early is important. Therefore, it was probably better for MVL had he won that game, right?
Well, MVL wasn't really much in the running to win that game, but Levon probably does feel a bit aggrieved that he hasn't.
Knight to c6. What setup is this? b3 is repeated and MVL goes with the King's Indian type of setup this time?
Some kind of a King's Indian, which I assume, yeah, it just doesn't really look very threatening from White's perspective, honestly. With the knight still being on g1. Although, I mean, maybe you take, you go like knight h3 here and you hope that, you know, somehow nothing bad happens to you and you get to play castles on knight f4 and then maybe you're slightly better.
You don't take the pawn on b7?
I think rook b8 followed by knight takes c4 is actually likely to happen there. And just generally, you're so underdeveloped that, yeah, some kind of a development of the knight on g1 was what I expected. Knight h3 was a bit
played.
Yeah, it was a bit fancy. I think knight f3 is just safer. Black shouldn't be worse, but I think white is also completely fine.
Fair enough.
And just to talk about the tournament a little bit, the winner of this plays the winner of, I think, the pair we are covering tomorrow, right?
And the winner of this plays the winner of Carlsen versus Artemiev, which is the match the two of us will be covering tomorrow. There's two big matches tomorrow, Carlsen, Artemiev, and Nakamura against Fedoseev. We got the early shift, the Carlsen Artemiev match at 2 p.m. my time. What's that in your time? Are we 2 hours apart?
I think it's 4, yeah. It's 4. Actually, this is a bit more annoying for white than I thought, because after queen c1, there is queen f6. Although maybe we can still go rook b1 and pretend everything is under control. I don't know. It's kind of weird. It's a lot more weird than I originally thought, because I thought we just castle next move, but I mean, even if we do, it's going to be a lot harder to realize. Which is why maybe you're even supposed... Yeah, here bishop f5, for instance, is a move. I'm not sure how easy it is to...
Right. Do we have to go queen c1? Can we go knight takes e5? Just trying to bail out here.
Yeah, I think you might actually have to go knight e5 so that after knight takes e5, you have like additional options. Maybe you can just castle straight away there. Obviously, taking on e5 so quickly is... I mean, it's not that bad, but you would probably prefer not to if you had a choice. And
bishop d4. That looks somewhat artificial.
Really playing. I mean, maybe not. I mean,
after c5, he wants.
He will have to take. Yeah, he will have to take on e5. It's going to be basically a strictly the only move that. No, maybe knight takes e5 is also legal. But I think you end up taking on e5 twice regardless. So you end up having to go like. Whichever light piece takes on e5, black takes with the knight, you take with the second light piece, and then you go rook c1, and you claim that everything is fine. And maybe it is. Like rook b8, castles, and if you play b5, I take, and I go knight c4, I guess. And it's not that bad, but yeah, it's... you have to calculate this precisely, because
d4, you don't get a peaceful, easy feeling playing this so early. The opening. And Monsieur Maxime taking his time.
Yeah. I mean, you're not obliged to play c5, but it does look so natural to do it. Yeah, left takes with the knight, but he will still take on e5 if you... I mean, you could maybe make an argument for bishop b2. No, allowing 93 check doesn't look good at all, no. I'm fairly certain he takes twice. Is there any point to playing d takes e5 here? Can I try something fanciful here, Jan? d5?
Please.
I mean, there's bishop takes c5. I'm a bit worried. I was going to suggest bishop b2, e4, bishop g7, e3. This is why I brought this up, because there was a fun position to put on the board for 1 second. Might not even be bad for black, honestly, because the ef knight e3 check is such a huge, big threat.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
But it did go. Bishop takes e5, rook c1, queen e7, e3. No, castles, rook a8, e3.
Yeah, I mean, black is fine, but white is also not really struggling over much, I would assume. Yeah, eventually black pushes d5, and all the heavy pieces get traded along the d file, and it should be quite level. Hard to imagine. I mean, this is a blitz game, so many things can happen yet. But I would expect that to be a normal development from here. Yeah, MVL saying I don't actually have to push d5 very early, so I'll do this first and then does play it next move. Yeah, this should be. I mean, if anyone is better, I think it's probably white. After takes, let's say knight c4 followed by a4. There will be some endgames in which this will become kind of annoying for black. Yeah, but he goes knight f3. I'm constantly wrong about this. It's very surprising to me that he didn't go knight c4, a4. I think it belongs on c4 here. On f3, it will get controlled by the bishop on f6 quite well. It will have no useful squares.
Is that the good old distance 4 rule? If
Yes.
your bishop is 4 squares away from knight, it dominates it?
There's a lot of you out there, chat. Please tell Jan how many squares that actually is.
Here we go again. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah, I don't generally even disagree, because like I've done this enough times with you to. It's not even that I don't want to argue with you. I think you've corrupted me to your way of thinking. It's even worse.
Normally there is an angry outcry arguing it's either 2 or 3. There are takers on both. I think usually they say it's distance 2, but there's also quite a few people arguing it's distance 3.
Yeah, 3 just doesn't really make.
I don't get it.
Like 3, I
2,
don't understand.
Maybe.
Yeah. Yeah,
anyway,
and that actually is the only other suggestion in chat. Yeah, somebody says it's 3 squares away, and now we have it's obviously 2 or 4. So we do get our first like proper controversy.
It's unsolvable.
Yes.
Maybe the answer to all questions is 4 or 2 here.
And Mr. Vizikin asks, do people play regular chess anymore? It's difficult in our coronavirus times to play slow time controls, but I will be playing in a tournament with slow time controls starting from Saturday. They haven't completely disappeared, but they are sort of on hold because I think properly slow time controls just don't exist over the internet. Nobody really is prepared to stare at a screen for 7 hours.
Also, people don't like it, right? I think there were some people testing it and the feedback was just, it's strange, let's stick to 15:10 or even faster.
Yeah, I think online it just doesn't make much sense to hold quote unquote classical tournaments. But I mean, over the board tournaments will return. We fully expect the over the board tournaments to return next year. And there have already been some this year, and
there is a poll about the distance between these two pieces.
I will vote.
Currently, 3 is winning.
Yeah, that is
slightly ahead of 4. 4 is overtaking it. There we go. Go 4. Go 4. 2 way behind.
Yeah.
5 also getting some votes.
Yeah, I think the mods are doing God's work by including like 5.
Probably Mr. Dodgy trying to rig yet another vote there, campaigning. 4-3. Were you disappointed there was this big vote Svidler push by Mr. Dodgy that first of all he did it, and then secondly he didn't even win?
I mean, I have basically stated my position live on air more than once. I appreciated I appreciated the effort Dodgy put into the vote Svidler campaign, and B, like, you know, disagreeing with Dodgy these days is extremely dangerous. Dodgy are, you know.
I'm not sure if people are aware of this, but Dodgy is very close to ruling us all.
Yeah, I think you know, one Dodgy to rule them all, and in the darkness bind them, and so on and so forth. But like I personally felt that, you know, the voting not being, you know, entirely unconnected with the Skilling Open, you were supposed to take the Skilling Open into consideration, and I thought Alireza was by far the worthiest candidate, and I think I want to say people have already started referring to me as a Ross Perot of 2020, but I feel like I'm the only one doing that. So using the old people have been feels slightly disingenuous there. But yeah, me playing a role of a spoiler in that vote does not fill my heart with joy.
Does feel like Spaniards campaigned even more aggressively than Mr. Dodgy.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, fair play to the Spanish community for being so passionate about their boy, but yeah, I shouldn't have gotten in, but I kind of assumed Alireza would, and I was not at all unhappy about that outcome. I'm not unhappy about for any outcome, but I think Alireza might be unhappy with Dodgy a little bit, because without the vote Svidler campaign, maybe those votes could have gone to him.
So do you think this was all a thinly veiled plot by Mr. Dodgy to keep Alireza out of the tournament?
Go King G8.
Is this checkmate?
Yeah.
Knight f7? Yeah.
Not checkmate as such, but I'm assuming White is winning here, like Rook f7 and then Rook takes f2 if f2 happens. Yeah. There may have been other mates as well, but yeah, this should.
Levon Aronian close to winning his first game.
Is he actually winning this? But King G5. This probably is just a draw, right? It's a very easy draw again.
So close again.
Yeah, that was a close run thing, and it did feel at some point that Lev was getting there, but maybe objectively Black was always holding. Scores remain +1. In MVL's favor, 2.5, 1.5 currently with game 5 underway. And whoa, I don't think I've seen MVL do this very much. MVL is one of the last remaining, you know, so proper Berlin warriors, people who have, you know, against all odds continued banging their heads against the actual Berlin endgame. But even MVL now goes for the rookie one anti-Berlins.
Maybe he feels it's more practical for Blitz. And didn't he get into some trouble recently? Maybe it was against Magnus. I can't recall. Someone got him into trouble in his regular Berlin endgames. Maybe he feels he needs a break.
Yeah, and since this is a rookie one anti-Berlin, can we go to the previous game for a second? Move. I'll tell you the move number. 52. Instead of Rook G7 check, I guess Knight G6 is just winning. Yeah, there was
so many checkmates around here.
Yeah. It was going too fast for us to actually stop, but this does appear to be winning because after Bishop F6, no, I mean here Rook H8, this is not difficult, but I guess maybe he didn't see how to give mate after Bishop F6. But then your mate actually does work, yeah. A bit of a weird miss, but once again, hard to say how much time he had at that point. Maybe he was down to like a second and couldn't really control the wheel properly. But yeah, Knight G6 probably just wins on the spot, yeah.
And in the current game, it looks like
Have we blundered the pawn on b2 here, or are we giving mate somehow? Maybe we're giving mate after knight g7. We go c3, queen b2, queen f3, and black starts regretting the pawn grab.
It's a pawn though, and Levon takes the pawn directly. That's much better. If bishop f8 here, bishop f2. Now he can go bishop g7. It's a clean pawn grab.
Ah, whoa! Bishop takes d4. Yeah, clever by Levon. And yeah, we continue. I mean, the last 3 games, Levon definitely has been bossing much of the action. But will he actually convert this one into a full point?
It's time.
You can go full greed here, but I think full greed is a bit scary. Like taking on h6 and b2, you don't actually do that in a practical game, right? Allowing all kinds of knight h5 shenanigans and things.
I don't know. He's principled. If he doesn't see shenanigans working, he might do it, no? Knight h5, queen c3, take another one?
Yeah, that's exactly why I would very seriously consider it. Knight h5, queen c3, and I don't really see much of a follow-up. I mean, rook ac1, we might eventually have to put it on h8, though. I don't know how happy we are about it, but like the knight is hanging now.
3 pawns.
Yeah, it is 3 pawns, and the knight is definitely hanging now with the queen on h8 connected.
And he's done it. He did take on h6.
But not queen b2. Yeah, then I'm not...
Take the pawn.
Yeah. Decided to just trade the bishops there and go knight g7. I mean, it's fair enough. We're stopping all the knight h5 tomfoolery and, you know, planning to go bishop b6, put a rook on e8. And, I mean, it's a healthy central extra pawn, so... hard to complain.
Levon Aronian, due to win a game here, has been so close.
Yeah, the last 2, you
the last 2 for sure. Also, yeah. We should not forget in the first one, he did have the option to take this rook, which yeah, probably he noticed eventually, and it's probably not a nice feeling to
not particularly. Yeah, that would have been a tone setter in game 1 if you just pick up a full rook in a slightly worse endgame. Maybe not even slightly worse endgame, but if that opportunity was missed.
Here comes Harry the h-pawn.
Harry is marching up the board, but without really much in the way of support from the other.
Speaking of Harry, did you work with Simon Williams one of these days? I didn't follow.
I streamed with Simon for a day, and then I streamed sort of from Simon's channel without Simon for a day.
Wow.
But accompanied by Alex Cholovich. Yeah, both of those were very enjoyable experiences, actually. I announced myself to chat as a budget ginger, and was greeted warmly by the ginger community.
What's a budget ginger?
Me.
Makes sense. The ginger community does not mean that in the chat they're all gingers too, right? They're just ginger fans.
I think I don't think it's a requirement to actually be ginger yourself. But
also, how would you even check?
I mean, there are, you can create a Discord and only accept at least it's logistically it's difficult. I wouldn't say impossible, but it would be difficult to have that in place. I mean, you can only allow people who are ginger to sub, but I don't know if it's a good business model.
Who are your favorite gingers other than Ginger GM? Conan O'Brien, Carrot Top.
Yeah, Ben Stokes is obviously the best ginger.
Levon Aronian, still a healthy extra pawn here, but he has not really improved his position, if that's fair to say. It's still an extra pawn, and he still has to work. MVL still has some chances, no?
Yeah, it's not a foregone conclusion that you win this position. Although, I mean, the attack has kind of fizzled. You eventually probably reestablish control over the long diagonal, or the queens come off, one of the two, and then it should become a technical task. But in a blitz game, those technical tasks sometimes go awry. Beth Harmon.
Beth Harmon is mentioned as maybe the most famous ginger in chess now. That must be tough for the ginger jam. JMC12 is saying there are dozens of us.
Yes.
Probably true as well.
Yeah. Does have a ring of truth to it.
Is the actor playing Ron Weasley? Is he ginger in real life, or was that just for the role?
I think he's ginger-ish, but it may
ginger
have been,
adjacent.
Ginger adjacent is the correct term, of course. Yes, but it may have been played up for the movies. Yeah, Quoth. How do you like? The thing is, I'm listening to audiobooks now, but when I don't listen to audiobooks, I don't entirely know how to pronounce people's names. Like, how do you pronounce Quoth? Somebody tell me how to pronounce that name. I don't know who that. I do know who that is, but I've never really established how you're supposed to pronounce that. You genuinely can sometimes not win this now. Now that Levon decided to meet a5 with b5, that queenside is going to be quite.
It's hard to break up without creating more weaknesses, no? Yeah, this looks. Computer still says black is much better, which gives me pause, but to the human eye, it looks close to a draw, no?
Well, draw is a harsh statement, but for instance, if you imagine the knights
close to equality.
Yeah, if you imagine the knights being traded on the g4 square, that actually is probably just equal. I don't think black wins any of those at all. Yeah, that's once again, it feels like Levon probably could have done this in a slightly more precise manner. Although, of course, he never takes on d4. He goes king d6, goes a7, a6, and starts pushing for the c5 break. So maybe we're being unnecessarily pessimistic about black's chances here.
The chat is trying to help out with the, I don't know how to pronounce either. Quoth?
I think it's Quoth, yeah, Quoth. Yeah. It's a main character of the Name of the Wind. Trilogy, haha. And the haha there is sort of the entire point. Because book 3 is widely anticipated and has been widely anticipated for quite some time now.
I feel like I'm supposed to know what we're talking about, but I do not. Is that this, what's his name, Rothfuss that you keep bringing up?
Yeah.
Got it.
Him.
I'm reading a book. That's breaking news already. I'm reading a Stephen Fry book on ancient Greek tales. It's excellent.
Unsurprisingly, I would expect that to be good. I have over the years read. At some point, I thought I read almost everything that he wrote, but by this point, that's probably not true anymore.
Turns out these Greek gods, they were up to no good.
Yeah, who knew?
I think most people knew, but no, I do too.
Yeah.
G4, C5, Levon, Aronian, finally breaking the structure.
G4 is an interesting option there. Knight E2, I did not expect that, but maybe it's sensible to try and preserve the. Yeah, but I think this just has been missed because BC5, Knight C5 is probably what MVL missed there. He assumed king has to take and then c takes D4 and rook C1 check was awkward for Levon. But yeah, Knight C5. I have rook D1 though. Hang on, he goes rook D1 there. How clear is this?
I think rook d1 might have been missed with some pinnery, and it ain't over. Far from it.
Hang on a second. You still have to. Right. Yeah, dc3, bishop b5, king c7, bishop takes d7, c2. I was trying to calculate that, but there's rook d2 in the end. No, rook takes c2 wins after rook d2. This actually probably wins if he finds it.
He does take king c7.
Yeah, you have to go bishop c4, I guess. Yeah, bishop d7 just loses on the spot, so you have to go bishop c4 and hope.
He goes knight c3, tricky.
Yeah, but that probably isn't great, right? We go bishop b5 and then we take. Unless rook d. Whoa, he could have played rook d5, rook takes b5. Oh no, knight d7 was okay. Yeah, knight d7 was okay. I got overexcited there.
Hold your horses, sir.
Yeah. But this probably is a
draw. This is a draw.
Right?
No, we exchange pawns and stuff.
This is a draw. Yeah, we go f4, f5, and then we generate enough activity to always be able to control the a pawn sufficiently, right? Yeah. White never loses. Hang on. Unless you blunder the f-pawn. If you blunder the f-pawn, the f-pawn, you might lose. Yeah, knight takes f5 now.
Wow.
This is still a draw. We can just take.
We can
take and. Why is he not taking exactly? I mean, this is probably still a draw, but it's still curious that he decided not to.
This might be easier, but yeah, he could have ended up with a pawn and wrong bishop against the king. Which
that's probably what he's doing. Is probably more a more obvious draw. Yeah, king b2, king a5, and yeah, we just get there.
Still, he's fooling around a bit.
I mean, not really. Like, it's rook e6 check. Hang on, he might win this game now.
Trying to win.
I mean, you know, he decided not to bother with the rook against knight.
Draw is enough. Yeah, I think he should have played on here, having won this bishop. Annoy Levon some more.
Gentlemanly conduct. We can't have any of that.
C'est vrai.
Kind of a take on a topical idea. Yeah, the queen takes d4 is enjoying a bit of a resurgence, and
even here with knight c3, knight c6.
No, I was about to say it's weird that he's doing this in this order, because you often don't really. Although they are actually playing knight c3, and this is exactly what he played against me. Actually, he played this against me in the round robin in the Skilling Open, and
so the untrained eye, this looks like a good dragon for black, but I'm sure there's more to it.
Yeah, he played bishop b3 against me, so already there's your proposed improvement. Interesting.
What do you do? You go bishop to c4?
Yeah,
you don't want to allow this. No, he goes back.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, I thought bishop c4 was sort of the entire point of previous play, and that's what I was kind of aiming for. And that would have been very, very close to what I got against Magnus, actually, in the last round of the same tournament, because, as mentioned, people have been playing this quite a bit recently for some reason with white. Is knight d5 a move you can make here? I mean, it is. It's a legal move, but is it any good?
I would say strategically is great, but are you in time? Yeah, sometimes I would like to go b3, bishop b2, but are you in time for that before going knight d5? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean b3. I guess MVL probably goes knight c6, and the construction maybe starts teetering a little bit.
Crumbles.
No, yeah, I don't know, but
queen g5. What?
Levon actually has this. He's done something very similar against me. He really likes the idea of putting this queen on h4.
This is the Lawrence Trent school of chess, no? Queen h4, bishop h6, then bring the knight back to f3 to g5 and try to checkmate.
It didn't really look right to me when he did it against me, and it doesn't look right to me here either. But yeah, I don't know. He does seem to be very fond of that idea.
Shots fired.
In connection with knight b3, it makes, although knight b4, knight b4 is kind of awkward. Like, what do you do? I mean, although you can maybe make an argument for something like bishop d2 or bishop f4, which, bishop f4 you might be, bishop d2 maybe. Bishop d2 kind of inviting black to take on c2 and saying, I will win some material if you do that.
If one didn't know, this is one of the greatest players of all time on the white side. And if you had to judge just seeing the game, you wouldn't be too surprised if it was sort of a beginner, right? Or an advanced beginner who has not studied a lot of openings, moving his queen all over the place. What has modern chess come to?
Well, it's just, people trying to play a game of chess unencumbered by, all that pesky theory. But yeah, I don't know. Bishop d2 does make sense, and that's what he ends up with.
So you're saying before all the pesky theory, queen takes d4, queen e3, queen g5 was how the old masters played a game of chess?
No, absolutely not. But the old masters did not have to contend with the pesky theory as much as the modern masters. If you try putting your pieces on good squares, you've mentioned that Levon definitely knows what the good squares are. We are not trying to accuse him of suddenly losing all sense of proportion here, but
also we should
MVL might have
the computer says white is better.
Yeah. MVL might have something to say about
this sorcery,
about the good squares. And now you can definitely consider going 95. I think we have positioned our pieces better for that.
So Maxim bluffed, he attacked this pawn, but then he didn't take it after bishop d2, and so he lost to Tempe along the way.
Yeah, bishop h6. Yeah, I really don't know if we need to trade that bishop. Like, I don't understand why we expend so much energy trading that bishop on g7. Feels like black is not really that unhappy about that. You know, the bishop on d7 looks a bit more active than the bishop on e2. So yeah, and Levon does go back to e3. I assume MVL maybe even goes all the way back to d8 here, but no. Yeah, I think rook c. I keep on expecting rook c1, actually intending to play knight d5 next move, but Levon has other ideas.
Does feel like Maxime has drifted over the last, let's say,
absolutely, yeah,
10 moves.
White definitely made a lot more progress than black has.
He's not very far from playing bishop d7, queen c7, a6 here, and somehow, yeah, there was a lot of moves made. So queen b8, Levon with some pressure, but MVL is nothing if not incredibly resourceful and tricky.
Yeah, the position is nice for white, but it's nothing earth-shattering. I don't know if black actually wants to take on c3 next move if white allows it. Probably it's a bit too early, but it's definitely something you could consider just to shake things up and start counterplay against the white king side.
Speaking of shaking things up, the chat keeps asking if I'm wearing pants. I do wear pants today.
Yeah. I think very much depends on the definition of pants as well.
Does it? Do you wear pants?
With me, definitely depends on the definition of pants.
I'm wearing, what's the word? Sweatpants.
I mean, if that counts, I'm definitely wearing pants.
So that's established. There's no Donald Ducking going on, ladies and gentlemen. Back to the game. Finally, a bishop got exchanged for this knight. Is that progress for Maxime Vachier-Lagrave?
I'm a bit surprised MVL did not spend any time at all on the option of rook b4 there. I thought rook b4 was something he could have considered. Because it's a bit awkward to me. Like I'm not entirely sure how you're supposed to react to that with white. b3, rook c8, we continue winning tempi, like knight a2, rook b white, rook b5, I'm not that unhappy maybe, I don't know. After rook c6, and specifically also you're allowing knight d5 here, which I think Levon has been kind of itching to play for a while.
Rook e8, defending against the threat. What do you do now? You play c4? Bishop d4?
I think c4 is very logical. Yeah, although, yeah, I didn't see the option of bishop d4, but now that you mentioned it, maybe it's a lot more logical than c4.
Does play bishop d4.
Yeah, that's very good.
You would like to exchange these bishops and then keep this structure.
That's going to be a very, very annoying position for MVL to play, and I assume he has to allow it. Like, there's really not very much choice. You can play queen d8, but that's just such an ugly move to even consider. Might be stronger than knight takes d5 though, because yeah, that is just genuinely probably the worst case scenario for the structure. You end up with the bishop on d7 against the knight. Well,
e5 played. He does not even want to think about that.
That's a pawn sacrifice, and maybe it's not. I missed rook e6.
Rook e6.
It still looks like a pawn sacrifice, like queen h4.
Queen h4, knight f3 looks horrible, no?
Looks kind of dead lost.
Knight f3, knight g5, knight d4. It's just crumbling.
Yeah, I think you're very close to resigning here.
Yeah. Queen e8, knight g5. Among other things.
That was a very, very strange decision by MVL. And now rook d4 or knight d4, any move, like you're a pawn up, but your position is better. So.
And he just got completely outplayed this game. No, this random position that Levon created, playing chess approach did work greatly.
Yeah, I mean, you can just go
bigly.
b4 or queen h6, f6, queen d2, I guess is what he wants. So b4 here, he stopped the check from c1 by doing this. So after, if black takes on c2 twice, we take on d6, and there's not even a sensible check you can give.
But you would have played before queen h6, right?
I was considering it, yeah. I mean, you take it as an achievement here with black if you just don't die in the next 5 moves somehow, but you're still lost. Bishop c6, queen f4, queen e7. I guess you still survive for like a.
As they say in the business, you have a pawn and the compensation here.
Rook e6. We go knight d2 and c4 in some order, and eventually this knight gets to e3, and the game kind of ends. Yeah, c4, knight f1. Yeah, king h2 is never a mistake either. Just sidestepping, like making sure that f5 doesn't hurt us in any way. Yeah, it's just a very nicely played game by Levon. Although I have to say that probably MVL, some questions.
Come on, he was really drifting for like 15 moves there.
Some questions can be asked about MVL's treatment of that position. He does go f5, but after EF, he doesn't. Yeah, like queen takes d6. What is this?
Going for.
I mean, knight g3, rook f3. That's his intention. That's actually. Hang on a second. Is he going to actually escape another one here?
b5, trying to distract this bishop from this diagonal.
Yeah, that's very clever. I didn't see b5, but that is very, very clever. The knight on g3 covers everything, and it appears as if this is probably the end of the game.
This is the end, as James Franco likes to say.
Yeah, and some people before him as well, potentially.
I'm pretty sure James Franco coined this is the end. Maybe Seth Rogen.
Possibly, yeah, bishop b8, but rook e4, yeah, queen d5, and then rook e4, I guess, is not really much worse, yeah. GG's, and the scores are level. And we have 19 minutes left in this time control, which I assume is 2 games, maybe 3, depending on how fast the first one goes, but probably 2, yeah, it's very difficult to imagine it being more than 2.
Is there a break? I don't see another game starting, which makes me nervous. Play more chess.
Yeah, or we might be, forced into awkward discussions of other topics, which is something we never do and are uniquely unqualified for.
We like to stick to chess on this program because, first of all, if we don't, we're a bit out of our depth. And secondly, people get upset if we stray too far away into the wonderful world of Hearthstone, which I'll admit, it's my passion, and I am eager to talk about it. This is a job, though, and I will not let my personal preferences for card games get in the way of getting the job done. Have you been twitching? I hear that the chess is big on the Twitch now. Are you on that train?
Well, I'm on some kind of train. I don't know if that's exactly the same train, but I'm definitely on a train too. We're on a like the poet once said, we're on a train to nowhere. Come on inside. And so on and so forth.
So are you doing more chess on your hit Twitch channel Pulberta, or is it still card game based?
I've been trying to combine the two recently. I decided that the way to never make a choice is just to unsuccessfully combine your two quote unquote passions. But yeah, our own article about myself actually featured a sentence which created much mirth in the Svidler appreciation societies everywhere, that my channel has been streaming more chess recently and like switching towards or gravitating towards the chess related content. We were much enjoying that suggestion in the discords and other places that hip people congregate in.
Do you have a Discord channel?
I actually do have a Discord channel. It even has 4 or 5 people in it.
Wow.
It's very, very
so what do you
densely populated.
Talk about all day?
Who said we talk? I said I have a channel in which there are 5 people.
Hang on, I know this line. I can drop some theory knowledge. Just endgame is whatever. Slightly better for white, but tenable for black. I'm surprised he goes for the endgame and not the more ambitious move, h6 here. You could blunder your queen if you were so inclined, but I believe most people try to avoid this. Maybe here you don't even blunder it. I don't know. Bishop f4. But yeah, h6 is the main move here. Bishop f3 is sort of a bailout or so I thought, but clearly Levon seems to think differently.
Is this endgame supposed to be a problem for black? I always thought...
I thought it was somewhat unpleasant, but strong players have gone here with black, and I guess if you've checked this and know what you're doing, it is not the end of the world.
Yeah, but you have to say that this is probably one of the weirdest landscapes you see in terms of openings which see top-level grandmaster practice, because this is just such a weird structure. With
I like the whole sequence. It's so random. e4, d5, e5, d4, takes. And why does this double pawn, but the black queen is misplaced? So it's, I think, a tough line for black to play. You have to cover a lot of ground. You have to be very precise. But of course, Levon has been in this territory with both colors for a solid decade, if not longer now. So he knows exactly what's going on.
Yeah, and I think the way they've been holding it is, I think they go both c5 and a5 to stop white from making much progress on the queen. Am I wrong about that? Because you definitely aren't allowing a4, a5. Well, that's not something I've seen a lot of. Playing f5 without actually stopping the bishop from getting to c6 is a bit unusual to me. I'm not sure what's going on there.
I don't know why he went for this. As we say in Hearthstone, you gotta know when to hold them, you gotta know when to fold them. And to me, the Zenka has always been a fold. Bishop c6, a4, a5, there's c5. It's not easy to play.
No, and maybe he thinks he will chase that bishop down somehow with knight b8, but I think knight b8 generally gets very well responded to by bishop b7, and the bishop on b7 is going to be quite safe, actually. Kind of a weird one, like king of... He goes f4 now.
f4, weakening.
He is really full committing to the bit here. I really like. I
looks horrible. What is he doing?
I don't understand it, and I don't like it. Is my instant reaction to this? I have no idea why this is his choice here. Also, I don't really understand why c1 is a better square than d2. But by this point, I am questioning all of my life's choices, and bishop c1 over bishop d2 is a minor distraction.
Boomer Hulk is saying, I'm here because I watched Queen's Gambit, and now I think this is easy. Humble me, chat. No, I think you're right, but Aronian is somewhat struggling here. Have you watched Queen's Gambit, Peter? How far along are you?
I'm still stuck somewhere midway, but I have watched a lot of, well, watched maybe is strong, but I have read a lot of threads on the topics regarding sort of loosely connected with Queen's Gambit, and that's why he played bishop c1. He wants to meet e5 with rook d1, and then the king goes to f1, and he's supporting the pawn. Much better, I would say. Yeah, I don't really understand this by Levon. This just doesn't look right at all.
Maybe he understands some deep strategy. We don't. It just looks so weakening.
Yeah, I really mistrust this. Shouldn't really be working. And I quite like this bishop c1 rook d1 idea, because the one issue white could have potentially had was where to put the king from e2. If you react to rook e8 with king, let's say d3, black definitely has some tactical opportunities there with the jumps. But with the king on f1, there will never be any jumps at all, and white just continues developing the initiative on the queen side. If you allow a5, you're in trouble. If you go a5, white starts going rook b1, b5, and pushing for the c5 break. It's just kind of ugly and unattractive. I'm very confused by this.
See, Peter Svidler did all of that in his head. He didn't even have to look at the ceiling, Beth Harmon style. These numbers just come to him.
Yeah, and apparently this is copyrighted.
What's copyrighted? Chess moves?
No, just staring at the ceiling and thinking about chess that way was... I think Hikaru made a claim that it was his signature move, and the TV series creators should be...
oh, I missed that. Drama?
Not drama as such.
Did you not inform us of some chess drama? Weren't there others as well? Like Ivanchuk, I'm sure, must have stared at stuff. Shirov, maybe?
Well, I've been known to, stare at random things during games.
Wow, Peter Svidler claiming the staring at the ceiling credit.
Not really. No, I'm definitely not. I would think that Vasily probably should claim the earliest credit.
Rook a7, king g6. Levon is trying to shut out this bishop on c1 from the action. Now he's saying, you can have the light squares as long as this bishop does not do me any harm, and you can do no better than exchange it. Things will be not too terrible.
Yeah, this is... I thought there will be some kind of a very easy way to force c5 and then the black position will crumble into dust, but yeah, maybe Levon's plan is not as dangerous as I first assumed, because it's really not that easy to make much progress from here. White appears to have gotten his pieces about as active as he could without trading anything. Like, you have bishop a3, but I don't know if you actually want to trade those bishops. And pushing c5, you trade the pawn on c4 for the pawn on c7, but that also doesn't really bring much progress.
Is the Armenian wizard teaching us all a chess strategy lesson here? Because it looked so ugly what he did. I still refuse to believe it to the untrained eye, but it looks less ugly now.
Yeah, it definitely improved. I think I did not expect him to just ignore the white advances on the queen side, and the plan of just simply allowing a5, ab, and rook a7. I assumed would just horribly backfire, but it hasn't so far and might never backfire. Rook h7, clever, just stopping even the c5 plan for now, because the c7 pawn is now protected.
So all under control for Levon Aronian. Rook d1, rook e7. He was hinting at c5, but now there's e4 check.
Yeah, we can go king f1, I guess. I mean, we're supposed to go king f1, I assume, unless it's king d3, king c2 here for some reason.
But now c5 is also not a threat because the bishop can take. So
rook
g8, still c5 bc, but the problem.
Yeah, I vaguely remember. Wasn't it actually us who somebody was trying to make Armenian Viper work for some reason? But I'm now struck.
The Armenian Viper?
Yeah, I think. Yeah, now I remember why that was. I think that was during one of the tournaments in St. Louis, and St. Louis, apart, among other things that are very, very nice there, they have an absolutely fantastic zoo, which is also somewhat surprisingly, at least it was very surprising to me when I realized that at first. It's actually free of charge. You probably will end up buying some drinks because it's always very hot, but the entrance is absolutely free, and it's a world-class zoo, and it has a serpentarium. And in that serpentarium, there is a very nice exhibit of the Armenian Viper. And I remember we took a picture of that particular enclosure, and we tried making it into a thing, making it into his, like, what's it called? Like. The luchadores, what do you call their names? They're not just names, right? They're like a fight name or a ring name or whatever. Like, I can't really figure it out. Too dumb.
Keep going. So they're both Armenian, right?
Who?
The Viper and Levon?
Yeah. That was the surface level of the idea was that they're both Armenian, but yeah, it appears that it did not really take on. Also, when I hear the Viper, I think of Prince Oberyn from Game of Thrones. Yes.
And he's this slight for Game of Thrones standard fighter, while Levon, he's huge these days. I watched him during the skilling when he does this move, and he has bigger arms than my legs. So I don't think Viper applies to him. He should be the mountain.
Okay. I'll take your word for it. You are a world-renowned, arm-size watcher. So I do
a bit of arm watching. I've watched millions of Devon Larwood videos. Literally millions.
Yeah, Because this show is not significantly stupid, I think we should now catch fire for wrongly using the word literally.
I do enjoy being explained the difference between figuratively and literally. Is Levon literally winning here?
Why wasn't Bishop F2 played there? What the hell? I mean, he's genuinely trying to lose this position somehow, isn't he?
I don't think he's trying, but he might.
It might still be fine because the king somehow got released.
King does cover the squares. Draw agreed. And what was this Bishop F2 you're talking about?
Instead of King D2, like, how do you not play Bishop F2 in this position? What the hell?
Here Bishop F2.
Yeah, I mean, this is an actual immediate draw. Yeah, but allowing Bishop H4.
This looked scary.
This looked very scary. I'm not even sure this is actually a draw. Like knight d7, knight e5 there, and then we. Yeah, it doesn't matter. It's
over.
Yeah, new game. But
let's move on.
That was very, very touch and go there for a second.
The chat is with me. The Armenian mountain does sound excellent.
Yeah.
What is this line?
I have not seen this c6 b5 idea before. I'm not sure I like it. I have actually looked at this.
Yeah,
I have looked at this because I have been somehow shanghaied into my, quote unquote Grunfeld lifetime repertoire has now been, it exploded into including all the Londons and the Verisovs and the things, which I am very, very maudlin about. But it forced me to look at some of these openings for the first time in my life. And I think I was even basing some of my tentative recommendations against the system on MVL's games, and they were definitely not c6 b5.
Poor you, being made to look at all these things against your will. It sounds tough as someone.
Sounds very painful, yes, because it is. Because it is. I think white is quite comfortably slightly better. I don't quite understand why black is supposed to be happy about any of this. It's not that bad, but d4 though. I don't know if we were supposed to allow this as white.
Even this?
I mean, unless I mean, I don't. 92 maybe though, yeah, because 94 queen d5.
I was going to say 94, but then queen d5.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, queen d5 is bugging me because the pawn on e5 is very, very important. I do not want to be losing it very quickly here with white. But 92 does make a lot of sense. D, F, E, and then we push d3, d4, and we stabilize again.
Let's see what Dr. Levon does.
I think the reason he hasn't played that yet is maybe he is considering going 94 queen d5 f4, g takes e3, and then something. But I haven't really been able to figure out what that something is in that position. So I do feel like 92 is a more sensible choice here.
That does sound overzealous. Mr. Doce is informing us that Armenia is a mountainous country characterized by a great variety of scenery and geologic instability.
Yeah, I mean, that's where the arc landed, right? So that should give you some clues.
Maxime is trying to unbalance the position.
Yeah, c5 I think was very much required. You needed to stop the white fixing their pawn on c6, and now the bishop will have a very nice diagonal, but white will have knight f4. So
it's no longer clear who's better. Why, right? Whatever, bishop b7, knight f4.
Yeah, you could. Yeah, I was about to say you could make an argument for not even including cd4, ed4, going queen e4 here, and hoping white doesn't take on c5, and then we play c4 with black, and we hope to eventually generate some passers on the green side.
D8. Why is this worrying for black?
Maybe we take on queen d3 is clever. I didn't see queen d3 at all, because endgames might not be so much fun for black unless we get the move g6 g5 early. I would consider maybe even playing it right now. I don't know if I need to include cd ed. I want to push the knight away from the d3 square, basically. I want to play g5, forcing you to take on e4, and then I will have to go to some inferior squares.
Curious learner saying, I know you are GMs, but don't you have an engine running in the background? We do have this engine bar that you can see as well on your screen next to the live board that indicates who the computer currently thinks is better, but we don't have any engine lines. And frankly, if we have Peter Svidler, the 8-time Russian champion, who is incredibly quick at spotting things in a position, we do not need much of an engine. And I think most people think it's more fun, at least for viewing without the engine.
Although, I mean, the bar does provide some guidance for you.
Yeah, if you want a quick lens, who's better, just look at the bar.
I try not to even look there. Although I do realize that, in particular in Blitz, this results in many things being missed by your friendly commentator duo. But it's part of the fun. Yeah, we have long been of the opinion that it's not really to the detriment of the show if we do it without the computer assistance. Black is fine though, yeah. That was played.
Is he finer? No, white seems solid as well. No,
yeah, I think nobody really is finer here. It feels quite balanced. I think white has sort of more potential to become better here. You go king e3, you go rook c3, and you start maybe arguing that the pawn on b3 is a weakness, but
yeah. Still, even once you pick it up, there will be probably weaknesses, but yeah.
Yeah. Also, I mean, black could definitely play f6 at some point, and that will not create a threat of taking on e5. I think fe5, d5 would be in white's favor, but just kind of leaving it there and having white constantly think about it might be useful. You could also play f5 with a slightly different idea. You kind of give white the opportunity to take, but if white doesn't take, we can start playing like g5, f4, and trying to expand on the king side. Knight d3 is quite nice, yeah. Well, allowing some kind of a reshuffle with the rook on c5 potentially, and the knight going to f4, trying to fight against the bishop on d5. Yeah.
h4. Score still level after 7 games here. Position also level. It's a tough fight. And one big question will be,
I would like to...
How much?
Yeah, I just, keeping an eye on chat, I would like to lodge a complaint with that last I mean, that addition to the counter was completely unjustified.
So it's 429, yeah.
It definitely is 429 now, but it wasn't supposed to be 428.
I think that's 430 technically now.
I'll stop disagreeing because that only increases the counter.
And you know what happens at 500.
Yeah, we don't want to do that.
Rook c3.
Is rook b3 an actual threat? You might not be able to take because then you get pinned on the b file and you might never actually unpin yourself successfully. But yeah, it's a move you can make, and maybe MVL gets confused enough by it to panic. But MVL just is not a panicky sort in general. Now you can probably take because rook b8, rook d3 was a move. But rook g1 is very annoying.
G1 is now, yeah, it feels. This is me staring at the engine bar. That black is once again in the driver's seat. White has to struggles to keep control. No, king f2, rook g2 looks.
Yeah, I think
murky.
you. Yeah, but the issue is black even has g takes h4 as an intermediate. I wanted to say king f2, rook g2, king e1, kind of forcing a pair of rooks off, and then if you take on d4 with check, I can go king e3 and maybe hold. But you can throw in gh, yeah, and here rook d4, rook h4. I really don't think white holds this, honestly. At least like with best play. So yeah, this is an issue for Lev. I don't know if he has anything better, honestly. He might have to play that position. And he's gone rook d3, which is that's a very, very risky approach. Rook d3. Black can even go rook b8 now. Might be quite strong, actually. Including that before taking on g3. Rook b8 looks very, very strong. And yeah, that's what MVL does. This might be just game over, because wherever the knight goes, we take on g3 with check, we take on d3, and then we take on b2.
He's so tricky if he gets the slightest bit of activity. It's just boom.
Yeah. No, this is just you have to assume this is lost now. Oh, King E2. I missed King E2. I didn't see that square at all. But yeah, you can still pick up on B2 by Rook G2, Rook B2 here. Yeah. Although White gets to play D5 in that position, that's very, very important that White gets to play D5 and not only lock down the bishop on A8, but also start generating his own activity in the center. So maybe Levon has correctly estimated this more correctly than we thought. Yeah, I guess you take and you go Rook B3 check. Yeah, that's probably the way. And you cannot actually go Rook D3 because the H pawn would win. And now, what's stronger, GH or G4? I guess GH is stronger, right? There's no real reason not to be more pawns up here rather than less. Is there? Both are eminently sensible.
D5 and D5. Yeah. Compy, not a fan of GH. Knight to C7, bishop B7. Levon, King G1 keeps the H pawn under control.
Yeah, he might escape with this now because D6 is such a huge threat. D6 like generally is yeah, bishop C8 is clever, hoping to block it on D7. But the H passer has also been successfully blocked by.
Yeah, now there's all kinds of.
Yeah, this has to be very close to a draw now, right? You still lose these occasionally. Yeah, I think maybe E6 was a mistake. Yeah, I made a mistake of glancing over the counter, and the counter doesn't like this for White anymore. So
you glanced over the counter
at the
okay. I thought this is some grocery store talk. Knight A6. Rook back. Nope.
Not yet.
Oof, no. The drama.
Yeah, this is still quite difficult for Black to win, but yeah, Rook B7 is clever though. It does. Hang on, but Bishop B6 and Knight F4 check is probably a draw. You would assume, or it is very close to a draw, so it's not that smart. Yeah, I think Levon has improved his position a great deal in the past few moves now. Although I'm not sure about before. How do we stop Knight takes Bishop takes C6 now? We don't. Yeah, this
also kudos for not blundering any knight forks and
this is just
picking up all kinds of pawns. This is just winning, no? H5, H4, H2. Yeah. Someone will go through.
Well, H4 mate
resigns. H4 is also just checkmate, probably.
Yeah, yeah,
that helps.
The biggest issue there. Yeah, that was a very swingy end to the game, but MVL was, I mean, for the last 20 moves, MVL was definitely sort of bossing the action, and Lev had to play catch up and did not eventually catch up. And this is, I think they get a bit of a break between.
This is the end, as Seth Rogen used to say. The 5+1 portion comes to the end. Maxime Vachier-Lagrave with the smallest of leads, if I kept track correctly.
Yeah, I think he's on +1. Yeah. I think he's on +1. I think they played
8 games, 4.5 plus 3.5.
8 or 9, yeah. I think it's 8, yeah.
And we will also go on a bit of a break and then come back with the 3+1 portion of this closely fought match. I'm sure we have some exciting clips to show you. I shall get myself a hot beverage. Thank you so much, Peter. I hope you're hanging in there. Is it late in St. Petersburg? It's 10 p.m.
Not very late. No, it's like 9:30, 9:40. It's still fine.
Do you go to sleep late these days?
Later than I probably should, yeah. Although with the kids kind of gone, it's a lot easier to get up quite late as well, so it's less of an issue.
All right. When we come back, we will figure out where Peter's kids are and who will win this match. Thank you so much for watching. We'll be back in a couple of minutes.
Hi everyone, welcome to the peek inside of the Queen's Gambit Accepted. I'm International Master Sopika Goramishvili, and I'm happy to be here with you on Chessable. Even though I've recorded a lot of various chess opening video series, this is my first one on Chessable, and it is a lifetime repertoire, Queen's Gambit Accepted. Why Queen's Gambit accepted? Back in 2017, when I had to prepare for the Women's World Knockout Chess Championship, I wanted to have something compact yet complete. This is how Queen's Gambit Accepted became the core part of my opening repertoire, and since then I'm using it successfully in my own games. The Queen's Gambit Accepted, QGA as we call in chess world, is an exciting chess opening. It is a combination of strategy and dynamism. And the goal of this course is to provide you with an exciting, sharp, and reliable, complete repertoire against first d4 and first knight f3. Now let's sneak into the website and see how it works. Here you can see a lot of information about me, about the course, and this is a preview of the course. Now let's get into the chapters and see how it is ordered. I've ordered the Queen's Gambit Accepted in the following way. First, I'm introducing you to the opening, and then we have Quick Starter Guide. A Quick Starter Guide is an overview of the whole repertoire. So we cover the most important lines and give you a bit of feeling of what should you expect from the course. d4, d5, c4, d takes d4, e4, b5, a4, c6, a takes b5, c takes b5, knight c3, a6, knight takes b5, a takes b5, rook takes a8, bishop b7, rook a1 once again, e6, and knight e2. Now, this is the most ambitious line of e4 variation because it intends to play knight c3 and protect the e4 pawn and put pressure on b5 pawn. We cannot allow this. Now it's time to take the pawn. Bishop takes e4, and of course here white's main line is knight c3, but let's take a look at move b3. b3 is way too ambitious as we have a very powerful reply, knight c6, heading to b4 square. B takes c4, and now knight b4. We're already threatened to give check on c2 and regain the exchange back. White cannot do anything about it, so black is doing very fine in this line as well. Now let's see more solid option from white. Here you can see that we are covering all the lines, rook a1, rook a2, which is also very important. We have knight f3 and fourth move sidelines. And you can see we're covering a lot of options here. d4, d5, c4, d takes c4, knight f3, knight f6. This is the start of our journey to knight f3 variation. And here, let's say queen a4. This is intending to take c4 pawn as fast as possible. Then we go very interesting knight c6. After knight c3, we play knight d5, force white to take care either to take on c4 or to do something about knight b6. e4, knight b6, queen d1, bishop g4, bishop e3 to strengthen the d4 pawn, and after e6, bishop e2 and queen d7. You can see the annotations as well. Black successfully preserved the pawn and will put more pressure on d4 pawn after playing long castle. Here we go and push the button, learn moves. And first we are shown how is the line, and then we have a little quiz. What shall we play after bishop e2? For example, here I told you not to be greedy and take the e4 pawn, but instead we should take care of development. So we go knight f6, which is correct move. And after knight f3, we're going to have a check, bishop b4, bishop d2. And here again, we're going to take the bishop and then take on e4. This is a great tool to remember the lines, to understand the position, and to master the opening. I really hope that you enjoy the preview and overview of the course, and I wish you good luck in your games. See you in the next video.
Hello everyone, I'm Aronian. I'm a Grandmaster from the Netherlands, and in this video I'd like to give you a little peek inside what is my latest course for Chessable. It is part of the by now famous lifetime repertoire series of Chessable, and I made a repertoire based on the Caro-Kann defense. So basically that means meeting the move 1e4 with c7 to c6. Let's start. The first question: why did you decide to do a course precisely on the Caro-Kann? Well, that's I think a very easy one for me to answer. While the Caro-Kann hasn't always been my main response to the move 1e4, it's always been around. In general, I'm not one to play one opening my entire life. I've played e4, e5, I've played Sicilians, I've played French, but the Caro-Kann was always there somehow, already from an early age. So to me it made a lot of sense, especially since there was not yet a full Caro-Kann repertoire on the Chessable website yet. I thought I should jump in, grab this chance, and make this repertoire, because I think the Caro-Kann is one of the most reliable openings around. It's been employed by several world champions. I should mention Karpov, obviously, who played it his entire career. Botvinnik, who used it in no less than 2 World Championship matches. He played it against Smyslov in the World Championship match and against Tal, both with very reasonable success, I should add. Yeah, so it's one of those openings that I simply I have a soft spot for, so to speak. What kind of opening is Caro-Kann? Yeah, that's a very interesting question. I think it underwent a bit of a metamorphosis over the years. It used to be considered a boring opening for people who were trying to make a draw. But nowadays it's kind of different. And also we will see later the repertoire I have laid out for you. It's become much more sharp than it used to. Definitely also if
Welcome back, everybody. That was the great Erwin Lamy dropping knowledge. And here to drop some more expertise in the second half of this match between Maxime Vachier-Lagrave and Levon Aronian is still the great Peter Svidler. Peter, you're doing one of these courses too?
Yeah, I'm in the process of, trying to relearn the Grunfeld. Basically, by this point, it really is that I realize that in most cases, frankly, I need to start more or less from scratch, and it's been a difficult process, but also kind of enjoyable. For me, it's still a very fun opening to analyze.
Nope.
Can't do it.
Nope. Family show ya. G5, bishop G3, bishop A7. The 3-1 portion has kicked off with Maxime Vachier-Lagrave on the white side. And Levon Aronian going for this G5 to G4. That has always confused me greatly. After knight H4, I guess the idea is knight H5. And yeah. I'm always very scared of bishop H4 here, but
I was about to say, that bishop H4 would worry me greatly in that position, but I guess they both know that this is not working for some reason. Yeah, and these setups are also extremely weird, because there's this knight on H4, which seemingly doesn't have very much in the way of prospects, but black will be tied down to making sure knight F5 never happens. So
also sometimes this knight doesn't even capture on G3, right? No, now it does, just as I say it, but I've seen it go to all kinds of funny squares. This is probably still theory. This position looks very familiar. Yeah, Levon knows what he's doing here.
Yeah, the king on H2 is extremely safe, but it's more the question of whether white can ever, do anything proactive on the king side.
So are white's double pawns an asset or a weakness?
I think they just sort of, the good thing about them is that they don't interrupt our play on the f-file, but exactly how much play we actually do have on the f-file is very much, open to debate. Bishop b6, I guess, is maybe the most critical reply here, because if black can do that and not get punished for it, and then maybe he just is completely fine. In particular, if you end up having to take on e6 and then lots of stuff gets traded along the f-file. But for now, Levon says I don't need to do any of that. I can play h6, h5. You currently have no threats. So.
Waiting for rook f2 before he goes bishop e6, or does he want to play f6 and do without
maybe
it?
Bishop d7, f6, yeah, but then you really are completely tied down to the f5 square, because what is he like? What's the active plan from black here, though? Like, you do this and then
c6 d5.
Yeah, c6 d5 also was my best guess.
d4 is always double-edged. I guess white is active enough here, but it does always weaken this pawn, and it could backfire in the distant future. Rook e8.
Year 2000?
The humans are dead, but chess is not.
Chess is never dead. d4 steals c6. Yeah, I expect king h2 to happen at some point. I think it's just very, very difficult to... like, you're itching to play king h2, and at some point you can... Although here, in particular, maybe you can play something like queen d2 or queen d3 and pretend you're creating some d5 tactical ideas, but no. Bishop d3, a4. I guess we go a3. I would assume with the light squares on the bishops, light square bishops on the board, it makes more sense for white to stabilize the structure on the dark squares on the queen side. But yeah,
disagrees. He allows a3.
Yeah, I'm a bit surprised he is allowing a3 here. I'm also surprised that Levon doesn't do it. But
well, b5 builds the bathtub, so that's just, I think, a move you play without thinking. But eventually, a3 seems tempting.
Is this, by the way, the larger bathtub, or does this not count? Like, is the...
I don't know. I think astrologists disagree. To me, a bathtub is always consisting of 4 pawns, and you cannot extend it into either direction.
That's like a built-in shower head, right? The a4 pawn.
I think now you're seeing things where there is nothing to see. It's just a proper bathtub. The a4 pawn is just there. Rook a8 played, and I have a feeling Aronian is comfortable just doing nothing from here on and saying, please make a move, sir.
That's, I think, has a lot to do with the fact that there's not very much he can do, but he also is seemingly quite confident just passing. Yeah, and good luck with your meeting, Jake. Always nice to see you here.
That sounds made up. A meeting at 8 p.m. Jake is just sick of us.
Yeah,
thanks. Anyway,
that was my take as well, but I felt like I still needed to play along.
So are you saying sometimes you don't mean all the gracious things you say?
I am not, I'm neither confirming nor denying any of this. This game might be finished.
Oh, neither side can do anything once the bathtub was built. The outcome was going to be dry. And Levon Aronian with the white pieces. Will he continue playing this? What's this called? I should know the name of this.
I think it's the Verisov, right? Although...
No. It's the... I know this. Focus Jan. No, I can't recall it.
Oh, yeah,
but it's not the Verisov. Verisov is 2 knights c3.
Yeah, but then after d5, you're supposed to go... Yeah, the bear...
Obviously, it could transpose, but this is a different name, and I'm embarrassed that I cannot recall it. Probably the chat knows.
Yeah, I expected the Jababa variation to come up.
No. It's
very early on.
Or maybe it's... No, it has a different name, which... I don't know. At least I was told a different name that I can now not remember. So the knight on a6 is slightly misplaced, but white also spent a fair bit of time luring it there. Therefore, I would say nothing too horrible has happened. You can relocate this knight if you want to.
I'm a bit confused by A4, but I guess they never really care that much about restricting. I expected A3 is why I'm saying that, but I guess just A4 makes more sense in general. And whoa, okay, I take everything back.
It's the Barry. That's the name I was looking for. Thanks, Akim. Komm helpen.
And in fairness, Satirius has told us this in our internal chat about 5 minutes ago.
We have an internal chat? Is that your Discord thing?
No, it's the Zoom chat in the call view that you are.
Oh, there's 1,600 messages. Did I miss anything important?
Anyway, Satirius actually got there first, and I think I even mentioned Barry on air, but nobody ever listens to me, so. Capo.
Ah, okay. I'm all caught up now that I know we have a chat.
Anyway, black is now a pawn up, but it's not the healthiest pawn in the world. I don't know how happy you're supposed to be about this with black. Now let's say we take on c6, we go rook a2, we go queen a1. And don't we just pick it up, and aren't we just slightly better? Or that way, yeah, I don't know why I was so insistent on forcing black to have a bishop on c6, which is actually quite useful to black. Yeah, I'm not sure I'm in love with how MVL treated this. And it keeps on coming as a complete surprise. I was kind of whoa-woing there quite a bit after Lev offered the bishop on d3 in trade for the knight on b4. It keeps on catching me completely unawares when people offer trades of bishops for knights. My head just refuses to process it. Because the bishop, as we all know, is 3.55 or whatever.
55? I read latest research was only 345.
Yeah, I can't keep those numbers straight, yeah. But isn't this just genuinely very unpleasant for black? Queen a1 coming next.
Looks pretty horrible.
Yeah, it just,
once this pawn falls, you just suffer for free.
That bishop on b7 is just so miserable. Never really had anything
like
to do.
280.
Yeah. 94 is an attempt to do something about the structure. But
take everything now? Yeah. Bishop e4, he wants bishop e5.
But even that endgame, like I take de, I take on d8, I take on a5. Like that endgame is, I would say, more lost than the one we were discussing earlier. I'm like, I understand he wants to shake. Yeah,
I was going to say bishop d5 exists. So.
Yeah. No, this is just a blowout so far. I mean, it's a 3-minute blitz game, so things could still happen, but so far, Lev is absolutely demolishing MVL in this game.
And he needs to come back quickly. I think the consensus probably that 1+1 might favor Maxime, although that's not clear to me. But Levon ideally should build a bit of a cushion. Very hot take here in the
and honestly, because of what's happening on the board, I think the endgame was just easier. I'm a bit surprised he chose this over that endgame. This rook endgame, I think black saves this most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
This doesn't look like it's the best way for white to come. Yeah, because there's a lot of counterplay against the b2 pawn, and even if you end up like picking up all of these pawns, you probably end up like the most you get is some sort of 4 against 3, which you don't expect to convert. Like if you start the capturing game with rook a5, rook b4, rook b2, rook rook d5, rook c2, you're not even. Yeah, rook c1 I guess is smart, but yeah, there's always going to be a lot of counterplay. Rook b1 now. It looks like it's just fine.
Draw.
Yeah, rook a1 is clever.
A little bit of the story of the match so far. Aronian gets good positions. Maxime saves them. It's also a bit the story of Maxime's chess career, so it shouldn't surprise us too much, I guess. He is very.
Although specifically here, maybe it's not that easy to make a draw because the rook is exactly where it's supposed to be to stop all the counterplay against the c2 pawn, and then rook e8 f4 f6. That is good. That is very clever. Yeah, MVL knows his business here. He knows if he allowed white to stabilize, he would have a very difficult fight on his hands. Whereas here, I think he runs precisely zero risks. Rook c3, rook c2.
The chat is wondering if you are considering to get a haircut like Jan Nepomniachtchi.
No, there's never going to be any man bunning in my future, but I am going to get a haircut of some description. Is this such an easy draw c3, rook c7? Yeah. I will get to the haircut in a moment, but
no, this is important.
Also, why didn't we play king f8? I thought he could play king f8. Oh, no, he couldn't. Yeah, okay, yeah.
So rook c7 was threatening checkmate, king g8, and the question is here. We could have gotten away with this.
Yeah, I think you can actually take on h7, and the c pawn doesn't queen, so it's all nicely calculated by Levon.
h6, the engine bar is going crazy here with every move, but obviously these are humans, not computers. And now this should be reasonably.
Yeah, this should be a draw. Yeah. Even if you cut off the king on the back rank, you're still not really expecting to win. Yeah, not
2
sure
versus
why.
1 does not make it better.
Yeah.
Neither does 2 versus 2.
I mean, the black king is very, very passive, so you are sort of entitled to continue playing for a bit.
The best way I can get is a g-pawn, and against a g-pawn you can even wait passively. We were told in chess camp, no, like you can even sit on the 8th rank.
You can go back to the 8th as well. Yeah, that's very true. And the checks from the side will always be sufficient here.
Yep, you cannot get in trouble for side checks in chess.
Yeah, there was a recent, very striking example of Jan Nepomniachtchi not winning a completely winning position against, I think, Levon, where he, in a position where it looked like any move was winning, he allowed the beginning of the side checks, and suddenly it was a draw, despite seemingly the Levon's king was cut off from the passer, and the passer was already on the 7th even, and still the side checks prevailed.
Yeah, the side checks are over. The game ends in a draw. More side checks here, or Mianoi, as we say in Thai, and Maxime Vachier-Lagrave with the white pieces now is going for the Italian. This position we've seen before.
Yeah, this has already been played once in this match. Yeah, g4 97 was what happened in that game, and MVL changes his tune a little bit, goes bishop c4, knight c4. This really shouldn't be anything at all, with black gaining a lot of space on the queen side. And now we go like 97 c5, I guess, or rook f8, rook ad8. I think it's should be okay.
Yeah, it's hard to disagree. And after 97, yeah, it's a bit of a decision to make if you want to push this pawn 1 or 2 squares for obvious reasons. But Levon goes for more direct play, pawn to b4. Which also looks fine, no?
Yeah, I think
now that the queen has scope, I don't think this can be very troubling.
Yeah, I think generally, like these types of positions, they normally have the white pawns on a4 and b4, and white, very much bases his hopes for advantage on, eventually gaining even more space on the queen side. And now, the tables have been turned, and it's black who has the space on the queen side. So I don't think he has much to worry about at all. 95, yeah, I think you were sort of expecting MVL to try and change something in the position, but I don't think he's better. 97 c4 c5 even.
Okay, we've wasted enough precious time on the subtleties of the Italian. What do you do at the hairdresser? Do you bring a picture? Do you say 8 millimeters? Do you say, as always? What's the procedure there?
By this point, I basically say as always. Yeah, I've been going to the same place and the same guy for the past 2 years, I think, and we have an understanding.
So you no longer need the Ringo Starr picture when you go?
Absolutely not. No. I'm kind of I'm desperately trying to calculate if white wins by starting to take everything, but he doesn't know, because there's queen takes e1 in the end there. Yeah, 97 c4, and yeah, c5 is possible, but I don't know if it's required. And yeah, Levon disagrees. I wonder if d4, f6, g5, and then knight e5 was playable in that position, but MVL is nowhere near crazy enough for that, apparently. Regretful. I would have liked to have some craziness injected into this position. He might do it now, though. Takes knight e5.
This could still escalate, no?
Yeah. No, I'm definitely playing knight e5 there. Whichever pawn you take with.
Go.
Yeah. Because knight g6, queen e6. No, maybe knight g6, queen e6, king h8 because of queen e8, knight f8. Yeah, this is what I missed. Maybe just you can't actually do that. I thought this was winning, but yeah, queen e8 looks very flashy, but doesn't actually
saving
give
horsey.
mate. Yeah, the horsey saves the day. Yeah, well, MVL goes d6, which is also quite sensible, trying to open up some squares around the black king, but I assume this is fine for Lev now. Queen b4 is maybe even some kind of a winning attempt, but
you probably meant black queen to b4. Yeah. My arrow game at some point.
Before is like you have to be very sure about your calculations there, and there is
rook d8.
Check. Yeah, there is rook d8 check, and then simply just taking on b8 and knight g2.
Rook d8, knight e5, all kinds of scary things.
Yeah. Queen b4 is probably not playable. So you spend the tempo stabilizing somehow. You can create some kind of an additional luft here. Oh, king of 7. You know, going straight into the maw of the beast there. Is knight e5 really unplayable here? I would find it very, very strange if knight e5 was unplayable here. I guess we still have some back rank issues with white, so maybe you can include some sort of h4 or h3 here, but I am sorely tempted by knight e5 here. Yeah, c5 also makes a lot of sense.
Here comes queen b4, knight e5.
Yeah, he does it this way. He lures the queen to b4 and then sacrifices the...
This looks checkmate, no? There's too many units.
Yeah, this looks very, very risky. Well, I mean, risky as in lost, honestly. Rook d4 now, I guess, and we give mate, right? Rook d4 and then queen e6, rook f4. I think rook d4 is just winning, yeah. Pretty sure rook d4 is winning. Yeah.
I'm interpreting the chat correctly, Peter. We had a lot of viewers, but now it's finally just Nizai, you and I again, because Jake Loans had to leave as well. So we can go back to our usual antics.
Yeah, as if we ever stopped. Yeah, king 8, queen g8 is a very picturesque mate in one, which Levon did not allow, but not queen f7, queen f8 just collects everything. Yeah, game is just over. Yeah, that was a very, very strange game by Levon because he seemed to like actively taunt MVL into doing this, and it didn't look at any point like he will hold. So it's a
c6.
MVL going for style points. Yeah, I don't disagree. Yeah, why not go for style points? Rook d4 check or whatever. Queen d6 check. Yeah.
Well played, sir. Maxime Vachier-Lagrave building. What's that? A 2-point lead?
No, he lost no, he didn't lose the previous one. It is a 2-point lead now. Yeah. Well,
it often felt like he was going to lose, but then he doesn't lose.
Yeah,
that's how he does it.
He so far lost 1 game, right? And he won 3.
I think
and they are back to this weird b3 that becomes a King's Indian. And MVL goes for a slightly faster e5 here without the inclusion of knight c6, which is also quite sensible. They normally play something like d5, knight g4, queen c1 in these types of positions, but yeah, e3. I would be taking on d4 here, and then queen takes d4. That may not be at all ridiculous. We drop the queen back to d2, and we want to go like knight e2, castles, knight c3, knight f4. Very much depends on how much initiative black can develop in the early running. Like knight c3, knight e5 is already maybe a large problem because stopping knight d3 check might be quite awkward. So you have to go. Yeah, I don't know. This is the issue with what Levon is doing. It's fine if you actually get to castle without, conceding too much. But currently it looks like he will have to concede quite a bit. Whoa. That is such an unhappy choice. You are just so not enjoying life if you have to play bishop takes c6 there.
What's he doing?
Well, I think he just disliked his position immensely, so he is trying to minimize the losses here. Stop 95, 93, stop 94. If he doesn't lose in the next 3 moves, it might actually pay off. But yeah, I think he just hated his position. You don't play bishop takes c6 for any other reason. And so far, I don't know how he loses here. Maybe 94 anyway, but you can play queen c1, I guess.
He has shown a bit of a liking for fianchettoing this bishop and then giving it up. He did.
Yeah, but not
against Jan Nepomniachtchi regularly too. Generally, I don't think it served him well. Maybe he read some Lasker books and was inspired by the idea. I'm not sure.
Yeah, 94 is definitely very interesting because queen c1, knight c5 is just immediately resigns for white. You have to play like queen e2 or queen g2 or something. Yeah, 94 played. If fe4, we just take on b2. It's important to take on b2 first there. And then bishop takes e4 and you win a lot of material. So queen g2, as expected by Levon. I guess I'm trying to choose between... Whoa, queen g5 I did not expect. Queen g5 is... Maybe this was a reason for Levon to have chosen a different square. Maybe queen e2 was wiser. Specifically not to allow this, because now it really is kind of crumbling. Bishop g7, queen e3, I assume he wants to go queen e2, but then queen c1, and in the end we can even take on g7 if we want. Takes, and queen king takes g7, and I think, yeah, MVL is repeating just to gain some time, but he will take and take on g7, and I think he is probably winning there.
g4, bothering him?
I mean, I will take one g4 and then I will pick up the rook on, in some order I will pick up the rook on h1.
So knight f2, bishop b1 if needed.
Yeah, that's a bailout, but I assume you don't actually have to. Maybe you do. Like, if bishop b1 is the best move in this position, then maybe white is not doing so poorly.
But he does take the rook, and now probably rooks to the e-file. A7 rocky, rook e8, rook e3, whatever.
Although it's not that, yeah, e5, yeah, I guess you have to include knight d2 at some point. You would very much like to play fg and not lose, but it's a risky proposition. You might never actually win the knight on h1 anymore if you do that. Yeah. White is still, of course, suffering here, but maybe he occasionally saves some of these positions. Kind of reminds, I think, all of us of that long Scotch endgame, right? But just much worse for white than the Scotch endgame would be.
I think it might be a bit of a stretch that reminds all of us of that long Scotch endgame, but I do know what you're talking about. I just said that I'm assuming not the whole chat knows the long Scotch endgame.
Absolutely.
These are savages, Peter. They watch a lot of TV while you were studying the Scotch. I'm not sure.
Yeah, that's what my life has been dedicated up to this point.
Yeah, that picture really doesn't hold up.
studying all of the Scotches. Yeah, this looks bad now because I genuinely doubt if white ever gets to pick up the knight on h1. Rook e3, and you just dominate everywhere, and king g2 is never going to happen.
And it's like the old saying, a knight on the rim is still a knight.
Yeah. Onion knight or some such.
Wow. Pawn to c6. So what's going on with you, Peter? What have you been up to?
Not a lot. I mean, I've been kind of stuck at home, and yeah, you made like not a solemn promise, but I thought you were planning to ask me while the kids aren't here, and that topic disappeared. But
I forgot about your kids, but apparently so did you. So what's going on?
No, I still remember my kids vaguely. They've they all have girlfriends now, and
By all, you mean both of them?
Yep.
And they moved in with the girlfriends?
One actually moved out, and the other one sort of semi-moved out and spends much of his time away.
How old are they now? They're like 12, right?
18, but yeah.
So the kids are out of the house?
And the night is off the board as well, which is not what we expected. Yeah, the kids are often not here, so we are kind of relearning the life without them. It's a really weird experience.
Is it better or worse? Because I'm counting the days, but my son is 6 months, so I feel he's going to stick around for a while.
Yeah, in your case, it might take a bit yet, but no, I mean there are definitely some advantages. Actually, getting to sleep in the mornings is looming very large among them. Black is still winning in the meantime. The single rook against the two knights, and yeah,
he resigns. These knights are just
resigns.
Overmatched. The pawns were about to queen.
Yeah, but
MVL making it look easy. My prediction is looking way off at this point. Maxime Vachier-Lagrave up 3 points here, cruising.
Sort of cruising up to the up until now, and if our assumptions about the 1+1 section are correct, Lev might be in even bigger trouble. The Italian continues being discussed. I really don't think MVL had anything at all in the previous game. I'd be surprised if he repeated the exact same move order. Yeah, and Queen C2 instead of Bishop C4. I did expect MVL to shake it up a little bit. I guess he's planning to take with the d pawn here, because if he doesn't, it's sort of still exactly the same position. Very cute, very confusing. B5, C5, yeah. It's pretty much what they could have gotten in the previous game. But even
this is what you've been talking about in the last game.
Yeah, I think it's completely fine for Black.
Speaking of talking about, I don't think we mentioned his name thrice, but the great Lawrence Trent has emerged in the Chess24 chat. How are you doing, Lawrence? Do you and Lawrence see each other socially on Zoom calls or other calls?
Not as much as we at some point were seeing each other, but we do occasionally, yeah.
So your kids are out of the house and there's less Lawrence in your life. So what parenting do you get to do?
Not a lot, to be honest. Yeah, and it's a weird sensation. Somebody in chat said, the grosse Mauerbauer said, get born, enjoy life, get kids, wait 18 years, enjoy life again. That's not how I would, prefer to phrase it. We actually kind of miss them, and they do show up for food every now and again. They've become, more and more cat-like. I think they are very cat-like in their behavior right now.
How's their laundry situation?
Yeah, and that's another reason why they have to show up every now and again, because we do have a washing machine and they don't. So yeah, like I genuinely feel like I would be a lot happier if they were still around.
Wow, I didn't mean to hurt your feelings. I thought
it wasn't you hurt my feeling; it was them. I mean, we didn't really expect them to move out this quickly. They, they just got into colleges, and we thought, okay, with the pandemic and everything, there will be a lot of remote studying, and we'll still get to see them a lot. And then boom, and like Kaiser Sosse, they're gone.
Sorry to hear that. Who's gonna be in the other room providing Chinese restaurant music now while you're on Twitch?
And that as well, like he has an actual grand piano, as the old meme goes, yeah, Mom, I want a grand piano. We have a grand piano at home, but in our case, it's an actual grand piano at home, not a kind of a severely scaled down version. And he just flat out refuses to study on it, says the one he has at the conservatory is much better. And yeah, there's very, very little in the way of Chinese restaurant music being available.
All right, as for the chess part, MVL has been crushing Levon and Aronian. This game looked like Levon might have been in some mild trouble there, but now he's equalized. And maybe also Maxime is taking his foot off the gas just a little since draws and time going by. It's probably not the worst thing in the world for him right now.
Yeah, he might even be ever so slightly better because his queen is a bit more active, but not really.
Nietzsche.
Just a draw, yeah. Just a draw, and I'm sure he is completely
Queen
fine.
d3 is the one thing to avoid, but these are super grandmasters. They probably will manage to avoid that.
Yeah, although, like, allowing all of this, MVL might now have to work for his supper a little bit here, right? The pawn before might be... Oh, Queen A1 is clever. I missed Queen A1. Yeah, Queen A1 solves all of these issues. You actually have to go Rook E8 back. Well, anyhow, you can play Rook E1, you can play H4. You're fine now.
I'm glad to read that Lawrence Trent is doing well, at the very least. Pawn to E4.
Ah, new openings. The great 1b3 experiment has been finally abandoned after that absolute horror.
We're moving on to let's play the Italian against everything.
Pretty much, yeah.
I'll play the Italian. Bishop B3, C3, Rook E1, Knight B2, Knight F1. Then we'll have a look around.
Yeah, and now we appear to have the Italian with both colors, and in every single game there's a version of the opening. This is truly a blessed timeline.
It's beautiful. So, Peter, when we're done here, I will watch the movie Don't Breathe. Have you seen that movie?
No. Should I? You will tell me tomorrow if I should, right?
Yeah, I haven't seen it yet. I've been told it's good. It's a thriller. Knight G3, Knight D7.
Yeah.
Pawn to D4.
The closest I've gotten to the movie Don't Breathe is when one of my kids was playing the game Don't Starve, which is a pretty decent game, actually.
How does it work?
Well, you kind of wander around looking for food and try not to starve. You don't always not starve, actually.
This is a computer game you're talking about, right?
Yes. Yes, it's not an actual, Hunger Games scenario.
Getting dark. Yeah.
No.
Why is it a bit better now? The Italian has worked. You got the center. Maxime has what in the business they call the MVL knight, the knight on A5.
Yeah, white is definitely a little bit better. I've normally you get these positions from some kinds of bishop b5 check variations.
It's just horrible. The knight is stuck. It's also on the wrong circuit. So once it goes to b7, you go b4. It's still stuck, and you would need it here, and even here would be sort of stuck. Also needs 8,000 moves.
And also you have to say that this now basically being a Spanish, Levon is by far the happiest of the two because Levon has played an unbelievable amount of the Spanish with mainly with black, but also definitely.
Also, if you've never played a Spanish in your life, you're still much better here because this knight is an idiot.
Absolutely, yeah, but it does feel like I'm assuming it does feel like a warm bath here for Levon to have this. But yeah, knight b7 b4 is just so horrible. Your entire setup makes no sense whatsoever.
Good. And also he had to put his bishop on a8, not the proudest square, just to get this beautiful square for the knight.
Yeah, no, this is...
Ugh.
Yeah. This is not nice to look at.
Also rook f8, allowing bishop h6, and now you go back, or you give the exchange, or you resign in disgust. All these options are on the table.
Resigning in disgust.
Just resign in disgust, which I thought was coming.
Yeah, it's definitely not a mistake here. It's just, it's impossible to look at this. But rook e8, rook c1, it's nothing moves and nothing will ever move in this position.
You think it's a premature resignation? It might be, but he also looks so silly playing a game like this that I understand he just wants to be donezo.
Yep, and he is, up enough to not have to, worry about
how up is even +2. No,
+2 now. But it's a kind of a comfortable cushion. Lev actually improving on the previous game in this line by introducing the idea of swapping the... I expected bishop takes e2 in that position, but he decides to not do that. Interesting. Like, I thought the whole point of playing bishop g4 there was to just immediately snap that off and claim that this is fine, but which it probably is. So yeah, a bit surprising, but still hard to imagine black being any kind of significantly worse.
It's the rookie one Berlin. If there's no forced sequence, usually things aren't too bad for black.
Yeah, knight c7 is, shows culture, because like you normally put it on d6 and are extremely happy about having the d6 square available to this piece, but knight c7 intending knight e6 at some point is maybe a more ambitious equalizing plan, if such a thing exists. It's a bit of an oxymoron, but only a little bit. Yeah, this is just completely fine for...
Take on f4. Offer draw. Play more games.
Yeah, it's interesting that, this appears to be MVL's approach to Levon playing the Spanish.
Well, he's gotten sort of games in the Italian, and now that he's in the lead, he's playing super solid.
Yeah, but I mean, specifically, the one game he's done this previously in this match, he barely survived, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe he was just checking if Levon will play the Berlin or the Marshall. Maybe Berlin. Yeah. Maybe Marshall he was fine with. I don't know.
Yeah.
Hard to believe. Marshall, great opening. But so is the Berlin. It's just duller.
Yeah. The slightly unexpected tank in this position, I don't know exactly what he's thinking of. Yeah, I thought queen d2 was the move, but I guess he actually is intending to take with the pawn on e3, and he's trying to breathe some life into the position. But obviously black can go, rook e6 and say, oh, everything you can do, I can do just as well. Probably not better, but just as well. And also, yeah, I mean, yes, you managed to unsymmetricize the structure. I'm sure that's an English word I can use. But are you better, son? Probably not. My son has, started the habit of entering my study/dance/whatever and asking me, are you winning, Dad? It's very annoying.
That sounds like Nikita. Child D would not care about your results.
Fair. Fair. I accept that. As another of my favorite TV characters used to say.
Queen to d8. Rook f3. Is MVL trying to be slightly worse here with the structure?
Sounds very annoying because he presumably so rarely is, says Books are nice, and he is not wrong either. People know me so well. It's probably because they actually watch me game. Books are nice is definitely somebody who has watched me game previously, so he knows winning is not a very prominent feature. Black is somewhat better. What MVL has actually achieved by unsymmetricizing the structure is he now has to struggle.
Yeah, this didn't go very well. He's a bad bishop, weaker king. Some potential problems.
Yeah. The score on the screen does appear to be 1 point off for Levon, if we have counted correctly.
8-6 or 8-5? I'm confused. Are we just missing an update?
I thought it was 8-6.
I thought it was 8-6, but I also can't count, so...
Let me...
Yeah, 8-6. Yeah, it is.
Mm-hmm.
Lawrence with some hot takes in the chat.
What does Lawrence say? Because I actually have not opened that other
I can't read it out, but it's hot takes as usual.
Let me...
Saucy.
Yeah. It's not like me to not have every single chat on my screen, so I will hasten to correct it.
MVL is hastening to correct his pawn structure, but it's not easy. These pawns are stuck there. C5, bishop to E5. And Levon Aronian with a chance here to get within 1 point after pawn to C4. The white king is still somewhat weaker. Computer says white should be fine, but it does look unpleasant to the untrained human eye. Rook to the open file, bishop b4, rook b1. I would not enjoy this position. I'd rather swim with dolphins than having to defend this. Okay, that's a bit strong. It's not that bad. Takes, king takes. Yeah, now with the bishops off, I guess he should survive.
This should be it. Yeah, and specifically because rook c6, e4 is actually a large-ish problem. Maybe you can take and go rook f6, though. Maybe it's not that bad.
Let's put it on the board. Check. Rook here. Rook f2. And queen e7, everything's covered. Yeah, queen h4 maybe works.
Queen h4, queen b1, b6. I guess it's fine. Yeah, queen b1, b6 is probably the...
Queen h4, maybe some g3, h4 magic.
Yeah.
Anyway, none of this happened. We have a drawn rook ending on the board.
Yeah, this should now just be a very safe draw. Very difficult to imagine anything happening here.
Miner is asking what's wrong with dolphins, but I will not be triggered today. Bringing up my mortal enemies, and frankly, what should be humanity's mortal enemies. I'm not going to bite. If you want to ignore the long-term danger of dolphins, go ahead, but don't say, I wish Jan would have told us.
Yeah,
once they do invent the breathing apparatus and conquer our cities.
Yeah, you have all been warned for the past 4 years of the dangers of
longer
dolphins.
I've been on this topic for a while.
Yes.
Pawn to a3.
Yeah, that's I don't know what to say about this position. It's just completely fine for black. Yeah, it's once again, as you've stated about one of the previous attempts by Levon, which I think that was a game he either won or could have won with slightly better conversion. It does feel like the player playing the white pieces is some kind of an advanced beginner, obviously not blundering anything, but also like the kind of a naive way of developing pieces, which doesn't appear to make much sense. But yeah, this being Levon, you don't make those assumptions.
Yeah, there's more to it than meets the eye, just as with dolphins. They're not all cute and smiles. Rook c8 by MVL. I feel like my activism is not really, it's not really yielding any results. Like, also, Corona has really overshadowed my anti-dolphin agenda a bit. Like, I feel we should start calling myself Greater Tuna. All right, I'm done. Rook ad1, hinting at d4. Can you go
do we
e5?
Do we actually play 94 here? Probably takes 92 and c3. Doesn't really look that great. e5 is definitely playable. e5 is, I mean, the bishop on b7 is a bit silly, but yeah, you can definitely
use b5. Knight e2. I guess he just wants to play Italian style no matter what. Here, not going d4.
Yeah, sidestepping all of the immediate sources of counterplay for black. You go knight g3, you go c3, d4 if allowed. Yeah, knight e5. I think we always go knight h2 here. We never trade. And white in general will not be unhappy about getting to play f4 and then bringing the knight back to f3. Once again, it does feel like MVL is getting sort of outplayed. It's not, bad. c4, c3 though. No, c4, d takes c4, I guess. Otherwise, c4, c3 would be a genuine source of counterplay here for MVL to consider. But I think d takes c4 and then the pawn on d6 falls. That's probably not great. It keeps on happening somehow. that, you know, they play some sort of a normal looking position where your assumption is black can never, ever in a million years be worse. And then by move 20, black is significantly worse somehow.
Levon, and maybe rightly so, I think he feels if it's some random position where there's no theory or established path that he can outplay Maxime, that he can get good positions. He hasn't been converting them, but usually he has been getting excellent positions, following his hand in these freestyle battles here.
Yeah, and MVL feels strongly enough about his prospects to actually offer this pawn sacrifice. I think it's a genuine sacrifice. I don't really see why we cannot just take twice on before here and say thank you, goodbye, and thanks for all the fish. Knight g5. Lev is not in the business of picking up stray pawns on the queen side here. Creates a very big threat of bishop takes e6, which I assume there has to be a way to meet. Yeah, it's a bit of a weird one because you normally expect this knight to be driven back quite easily. Well, that's a very committal move. You normally get mated when you do things like this, but maybe MVL feels he has to. Now white goes d4 and yeah, but there will be some counterplay on the queen side immediately with like the takes and queen c3 or queen c2 or whatever.
Yeah, computer's not very concerned about black's position. It does look scary.
Yeah, it does look extremely scary in practical terms because like if you blunder f5 somewhere, you just get mated. But I'm assuming there is a way not to blunder f5. Does look very, very dodgy though. Even here, like I'm very tempted to start calculating some immediate sacrifices, but I guess with the knights on f8 and g8, black has most things covered. Yeah, Lev also has obviously the same ideas and is intending to start something. Rook df3 here, I guess, and then h6, f5, and let's just start throwing things in the black position. I'm probably getting overexcited. This probably never works. Yeah, h4 makes a lot of sense, actually. It creates an h3 square for the knight to retreat there after h6. And also, of course, you want to play h5, softening the king side. In particular, after h6, h5 becomes a great big problem. h5 anyway here. Yeah, this is not fun anymore at all for black. Yeah, you still have to find a way to crack this open somehow, but yeah, white is of course quite a bit better here. Rook b3, rook c7. Yeah, now we probably can start looking at some captures, but yeah, Lev. Yeah, I was expecting something like this to happen even earlier. Just sort of breaking.
Here comes the breakthrough.
Yeah, just breaking through and attempting to give immediate. Yeah, just queen f5 and knight f4. Whoa, beautiful. Such a beautiful concept. Bishop f5. Is this? I mean, the machine likes it, but it's not what I expected. g3. How do we do this? I guess just queen f3 or something. Because there's no real counterplay, I guess. Yeah.
There's always one more question with Maxime, yeah? Like he's
now white is just a piece up, and you can go something like knight g2, I assume, and just stabilize. Or this, yeah, bishop takes c8 and king g2 is very, very convincing. And yeah, eventually white will return to bishop f5 actually wins here, right? That was a cute move he could have made, but he doesn't need to. What he's playing is also very strong. He's just bringing the bishop back to f1 and now knight g6 check. Okay, just play knight g6 check. Come on.
So is Levon back? This would be just +1 for Monsieur Maxime, no? And yeah, resigns. Queen g8 checkmate. Bit of an issue after king h7.
Yeah.
We have a match, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, that's with only one game separating them. There's definitely a match on. And we are back to the Italian discussion. They are attempting to progress the understanding of this particular one line of the Italian as far as they can push it in one evening, for which we are obviously eternally grateful. And why wouldn't we be? I think the last couple of games Levon was completely untroubled out of the opening. I'm kind of curious about this. MVL continuing. Yeah, DC4.
Maxime keeps going here. DC is DC4, a different structure. Also not very scary usually for black, though, if we're being honest.
No. But yeah, if you wanted to shake things up, this is what I expected to happen in the previous game. Even once he played Queen C2, I thought that was the intention. But
I think I looked at this once and I wasn't very impressed. C5, I'm not sure about Queen A6. It's hard to manufacture. Knight D5 usually shouldn't scare black. He's not supposed to play C6 anytime soon. Yeah. Queen A6, now C5 works.
Yeah, it's interesting that he allowed C5, honestly.
Yeah, that's why I wasn't sure.
I didn't think it was necessary, but he probably is still fine after something like Queen C6, CD, CD, or something like this if he doesn't want to have a non-symmetrical pawn structure. I'm done with the desymmetry size. I don't think it caught on.
Akim Helpen is saying, I miss the A6, Bishop A7, D6, H6 days against anything in the Italian. You can still do that. Yeah, it's still very possible.
Still do that, yeah.
It's just no longer easy because white goes A4, B4, and the game continues. But it's still a legit approach.
Yeah, there's it's arguably one of the sort of the, if you call something the tabia in the Italian right now, it's probably that position with the A4, B4 against that setup with black. But yeah, you can also not do that, which is, I think, the big difference with our childhoods, when you were absolutely supposed to do exactly that and feel that you're fine. How do we feel about this? This is maybe the liveliest.
A little bit. No, C5, D6. I sort of like white's position now, at least. Mm-hmm. Structurally, he has some potential. Knight G3, also headed for F5 once again.
Yeah.
Don't like how this went for Dr. Levon.
Then again, because there's a pawn on A4, generating a lot of progress on the queen side will take quite some time for white. But yeah, this looks quite promising. Although, I mean, if the knights come off, it's probably fine for black. So you do want to have an answer to knight e7. Yeah, g3 and knight e3, I guess.
Some pressure, but yeah, I guess.
Is this? No, it's not. Yeah, I got excited there for a second with d6, knight f5, dc7, but the knight lands on d4, and I don't think that works. Knight g4 is actually, I don't know if that's what you were referring, but it's a move you can make right now, knight f5, d4.
Oh, sorry, I thought you meant in this line.
Yeah, I did mean in that line, but then I realized, because you left the arrow there, and I realized it's a move you can actually make, but MVL ignores it and goes knight e3.
Knight e3 looks a bit slow. Now the horse is reshuffling, and Levon is out of the woods, I would say.
Yeah, now knight d6, and maybe even you can consider going knight b7, knight c5 if you really wanted to solidify your queen side. I don't know if that's required. d6 is also a good square, so yeah, maybe just keep it on d6 and not really worry that much about c5 ideas. Queen f7, queen g6 comes to mind just to continue improving your pieces a little bit. Why the steal? f5 is interesting. f5 is an attempt to make this into a more double-edged position, and
looks fine for black. No, this knight is so good. But yeah, he's rushing to exchange it off.
Yeah, black is fine now because the weaknesses on c7 and d5 sort of equalize it, even themselves out, and yeah, these positions normally are. They end up being everything ends up being traded down.
Another draw, and MVL with a narrow 1 point lead as we come to probably the last game in this 3+1 portion. I mean, there's probably one more game after this, unless this lasts.
Yeah, there should be one more. This cannot possibly last for another 3 minutes, I think, with them having 1 minute on the clock each. That's an interesting decision by Lev, by the way, trading the d5 pawn for the a4 pawn, not the c7 pawn. He's still fine, I guess, because his king is so much safer, but this is definitely a way to unbalance the situation. Also, no, I was going to say there's some kind of rook c8, queen a8, rook c7, queen a8 tactics, but they don't work in either move order. If you take first, there's a interposition on d8, and if you start with a check, you have a draw here. Yeah, that's maybe you're actually supposed to take it with white, right? Because yeah, I think if you continue, you might run into some kind of f4 counterplay and regret it.
Queen b3 looks very safe. C5. Can you actually just run, or is this scary? He goes queen e3.
Yeah, I think eventually something starts happening on the king side here.
All right. Queen e3, c4. This pawn should not get captured, because then rook d1 picks up the rook.
Yeah, I think we go rook d3 and then you start pushing some sort of e3 or f4 counterplay. You also, yeah, I think including king h7 is never really a mistake, to make sure that taking on c4 is not going to attack. Finally MVL just takes that draw that was on offer for a while.
Perpetual. That means we get one more game of 3+1. Because, yeah, the format is as long as there's time left on the clock, one more game starts, I believe, at least. Yeah, here is the last game. Then there will be a bit of a break and the 1+1 portion of the night.
Yeah, bishop d7 is one of the maybe interesting that he played d3. Actually, I thought you were. No, it's not here. Sorry.
Now this is the Levon system that we've been admiring in a bunch of these matches. I think also a bunch of the other recent tournaments. Where have we seen this? He played this quite a bit against somebody. This bishop e3.
Yeah. Shouldn't really give white anything at all. E4, c4, d5.
Yeah, but he's insisting.
Like, yeah, he's been doing this for a while, and he does appear to be. Yeah, that's a move I did not expect. I thought d6, d5 was definitely going to happen there. I would be quite unhappy here with black having to give up the bishop on c6. Although I guess MVL just feels after knight 6 bc he will play d6, d5 next move pretty much against most reasonable replies, and he will have a lot of counterplay. But now you can see the glimpses of why white could be better eventually, because if white stabilizes, if white gets, let's say, queen c2, rook c1, rook f d1 in, and black hasn't done anything yet, white definitely is better, which is why MVL, of course, goes d5 at the first possible moment. But yeah, like if he has to go d4 here, he is worse after knight c4. Quite a lot worse, actually. This is a bad position. I am very surprised he allowed all of this.
Once again, the usual picture. If it's a sort of random position, Levon does get the strategic upper hand more often than not. But Maxime also escapes more often than not.
Yeah, but I think he did not need to be in trouble in this game is my point. But yeah, he definitely is very, very good today at escaping from very, narrow corners. Yeah, I don't know why c5 was allowed.
Not great fun. The
one night.
Black majority on the king side is soundly blocked, and once these pawns start running, bishops are well placed. This is just a very bad position.
Although I think this is less than it was about 5 moves ago. I thought after rook c8 there were ways to not even allow any of this. I thought like queen b5 was stronger than queen d6. Queen d6 looked like a weird move to me, but this is still quite unpleasant for black. I don't think that changed at all. But it at least we got some pieces to somewhat active squares, and let's say knight d3 is an option now, even though it might lose a pawn, which would be a drawback. Like if knight d3 loses that pawn on d3 eventually, it's not a very good move, but maybe it doesn't, and then it's an active source of counterplay which wasn't there before.
Yeah, this is a dream position. Sometimes you get these things out of King's Indian theory if things go really, really well, this type of structure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's a dream situation. And since there's been some thinking going on, if we could just for a second, because I think it's an interesting thing you need to be aware of, move 12 after ED4, CD4. I really don't understand why G5, E5, knight E4 hasn't been played here. It is...
You missed the moment.
I think it's just such an obvious improvement, and just meeting this d3, d4 push by taking non-symmetrically and then playing d5 is, I think, an idea that is useful to be aware of. But yeah, now he will have to defend this endgame. He has defended maybe even worse in this match. So
French school of suffering, as Magnus likes to call it, but fun it is not.
No, not at all. Yeah, knight d6 looks quite attractive here, because allowing bishop b4 is actually a bit awkward. We don't actually have good squares. Yeah, and then is not. Yeah, even just this. Yeah, we stopped bishop b4, and now we've consolidated.
Stabilize here.
Bishop c4 is a threat. Maybe we are actually threatening knight b5, knight a7, which is something a5 defends against. Now I think MVL will play a4 just to try and maybe get some pawns off the board, which is something a defending side very much welcomes in these types of situations. But even takes BA is not much fun, and there might be stronger things available. No, this is fair. Oh, even the immediate BA.
Bishop d6, bishop e6. So what's
bishop b4, and there's rook d8 check there in the end. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, that does make sense.
Looks unnecessarily fancy, but if he's just calculated it, why not? Now you just go back.
Yeah, I think we just play bishop b3, and yeah, this is just lost. Knight on f6 has no squares. I mean, if this knight was somewhere where it could, participate in the game, this would have been maybe slightly less horrible. But as it is, the knight on f6 is completely dominated by the rooks on the d file. And yeah, that will be a shock. If MVL gets away with this, that really will be a shock. You're not.
But if you lose this, it's gonna be 9-9 going into the bullet.
Yeah,
exciting.
Just go king f1. Yeah, you don't need to hurry. Just go king f1, bishop c7, bishop d4. I assume loses materials. So just bishop d4 here.
This feels like an important bit of chess culture. This is what I would struggle with: king f1, king e2, so you don't have your king far away later if you ever need it. It's good stuff.
Yeah. And this is just very, very lost.
Really bad.
Yeah. With the rooks on, you still have to work a little bit. Obviously, the rooks come off, the a pawn just wins. But even with the rooks on, there's just so little in the way of counterplay that. Yeah, I mean, it is they're playing on seconds. Sometimes people fail to win these positions.
Stranger things have happened. Yeah.
But you don't really expect it. I mean, half a minute for somebody like Levon in this position should be plenty.
I don't know. Maxime is filthy. Once he gets jumpy, itchy, scratchy.
No.
But no, he didn't. He didn't jump.
Whoa, rook c2, not g3. He didn't play g3 there. He could have. That's very strange. He could have forced knight to g2 and then just captured it, I think. But okay.
Good enough what he's doing.
Yeah, I mean, not going to change much. Actually, I think MVL probably lost on time or something. Because I think like this is a weird place to resign, considering how lost he has been for the past minute and a half. So yeah, the bullet starts like the match actually starts anew with the bullet.
9-9.
Yeah,
and
very nice comeback by the Armenian Viper.
9 p.m. All right, we will have, I guess, a brief break before the bullet portion, which we will, of course, all use to be all over Reddit chess as Peter does in every break. And
Absolutely,
then we'll come back. This is going to be exciting. 9-9. Anything could happen.
Yeah, you have to applaud the commitment to derailing the conversation about the match today.
See y'all in a minute.
Hello everyone, I am Grandmaster Harikrishna Pentala from India. I have won Asian Individual Championship, Commonwealth Championship and World Junior Chess Championship. I would like to tell you why I chose the Timon of Sicilian in particular. So the reason is quite simple. Whenever I feel a bit bored of playing main lines like or main replies like Berlin, Petrov, and Marshall, no doubt they are extremely solid and great choice. But whenever I seek for some freshness, Timon of Sicilian is the direction I usually go for. So now let's jump into the course. I would like to show you how I have sorted the course. So first will be introduction. Then there is quick starter. Quick starter guide is something which I personally like a lot. Here you can quickly check which openings you would like to check, and it gives you a good overview of the course. I have divided the course into 26 chapters, as you can see here, and I can say that until move 6 I consider to be anti-Sicilian, so that's one part. And from chapter 11 I consider it to be Timon of Sicilian, and the last two chapters are Scheveningen, which are my favorite. Last but not the least, there are model games. You might get the doubt, okay, we have 26 chapters, so which are the critical ones here to study? Fair enough, and I believe that answer is 7th move Queen F3 without any doubt. 7th move Queen F3 has the reputation of putting Timon of Sicilian in some kind of an issue, which I think I have solved quite well in this course. And English attack is definitely a setup which you should study. Although I believe that English attack is not that hard to remember in my personal opinion. And of course Scheveningen to learn the setups, because it's so unique, and I do believe since Gary Kasparov has played this opening, it's full of dynamism and great variations in Scheveningen. So let's take here on your right, you can see there is learn next, review all. Since I am the author, I have already studied some of the moves, so therefore I have 850 review all, which means I have studied them. And learn next is something when I press it, the move trainer is going to show me that I need to play knight f6 after queen f3. So you can, when you are ready and you remember, you can press the next. And after queen f3, as you can see here, quiz 1, the 1 to 3 is nothing, but you need to show 3 times that you do remember. So you need to focus. And so here I would like to show you what is review all. So in review all, since I say I'm telling move trainer that I have already learned the moves and I want to revise it. While doing this, you are going to get some doubts, which as the Timon of Chessable community, we are going to discuss about them in the discussion which is inside the course. So the video will sync you with the introduction chapter or any other chapter where I am mentioning. So this way you have an idea on which variation you are looking into, and then you also hear what I have got to say about that particular position. And in discussions, of course, I am going to check how suggestions or any variation updates, etc. And sometimes there can be updates on model games or some other variations, as we are going to see a lot of games at various levels. That's all about the course, and thank you for watching this Peak Inside, and welcome once again to the Timon of Sicilian, and I do hope you enjoy this course. Thank you.
Welcome back, everybody. We are about to begin the bullet portion of this very exciting match between Levon Aronian and Maxime Vachier-Lagrave in the chess.com Speed Chess Championship. This is the quarterfinals. Whoever wins this will possibly face Magnus Carlsen in the semifinals. So the stakes are incredibly high. Peter, 1+1. Who's the favorite?
Well, we assume Maxime is for all the same reasons that I stated earlier. But yeah, I really thought when Maxime got to the +3 that it was potentially like the soft end of the match, because he not only was he leading, he also seemed to be kind of running away with it, saving all the bad positions and winning all the good ones. But now that the dreaded momentum has swung, I think we're very much in Lev's favor in the last portion of 3+1.
Yeah.
If Levon starts well, it really could go either way. I assume MVL just has a lot more practice playing, any version of bullet, even though this is, I think, the proper bullet.
1+1 is not really bullet.
Yeah, exactly.
Technically it is, but there's plenty of time. It feels more like a 3-minute blitz game online, so it's not the end of the world for Levon.
Not when I'm playing it, but when when actually capable clickers are playing it, it does look like you're absolutely capable of playing a complete game of chess with very little in the way of blunders, mouse slips, and losing on time.
There's a question if it just finished or if it's just starting. We're closer to the end. We are done with the 5-minute and the 3-minute portion, or if you want it time-wise, they've played for 2.5 hours. There's half an hour of bullet chess, or 1+1, beginning any minute now. The score is 9-9. Levon Aronian, the longtime world number 2 from Armenia, is facing the world number, I don't even know, 5. Where is he? Maxime Vachier-Lagrave, the leader in the candidates tournament. These are 2 proper world-class players. And of course, we are delighted and honored to have our very own world-class player here to give insights. Peter Svidler will call all the shots. No pressure.
Former.
Wow.
Anyway.
Look who's bragging now, Mr. Former world-class player.
Yes, that's exactly how we're all here. But yeah, really enjoying it. These things they're pretty much always fun, but they're a lot more fun when the bullet portion starts from a reasonably even start. When somebody's already ahead by 4, you do feel like you know how this movie ends, but you definitely don't when the scores are level.
Half an hour of bullet. Haven't seen that since Heat. That didn't work. I apologize. Let the games begin. There's nothing to talk about. Peter's kids are out of the house. Peter has not watched any TV shows, not even The Queen's Gambit or Ted Lasso.
I keep on, although it from what I've read online, Ted Lasso is a little bit too wholesome for my mood right now.
I find Ted Lasso so adorable. You do know that I'm a horrible, spiteful person. And after Ted Lasso, I believed in the world for a brief second. It was so wholesome, optimistic, still funny, not cheesy. It's so nice. I highly recommend it.
I will give it.
I'm a bitter cynic, but still, it made me feel all warm and fuzzy inside.
Yeah, I did finish Raised by Wolves, and now I am no longer recommending that, because I was really, really hoping they will actually avoid the mistake of stretching this into, 75 seasons. But apparently, there are now unresolved issues that will be unresolved for quite some time yet, and I think the way it ended, it no longer really warrants a hard vouch, so to speak. I've also, for some reason, rewatched the entire 5 seasons of Line of Duty, which I shouldn't have done. So yeah, I haven't watched any TV in the recent times at all.
Just to be clear, you rewatched 5 seasons of a TV show recently.
Yes.
All right.
Well, I think technically I think I only rewatched 4 because I think season 5 did not come out when I was watching.
No, then it's fine, of course. Please let the games restart.
What happened to your mic? You are suddenly very threatening.
Oh, am I too loud? Not loud enough? I'm just leaning in. Apologies. This is it. Jafuli is asking, where's the next Jan or Svidler banter blitz? I'm suffering from mild withdrawal symptoms. I'm doing a lot, but mainly in German because I'm trying to become an influencer and the chess market is so crowded in English. While in German, I feel the bar is much lower, both chess-wise, humor-wise, sneaker-wise. I feel I can really leave a mark there. So yeah, sorry, there hasn't been that much English output. Learn German, it's an easy one. As for Peter, I do not know, but there was one during the skilling, no?
Yeah,
we are off.
There will be more incoming. And yeah, I think with the bullet we should actually try and call the action because it will be coming.
Same line that they have kept debating this Italian with.
This is like game 7 starting from this position already, which is somewhat bizarre.
Also, Maxime is really not getting anything out of the openings here. So yeah, it's not, well, it's hard to adjust your repertoire on the fly, but it's not
somewhat shocking. He still allows the c5 move. I thought he was he would go like queen c5 or something and then do something else. Although I mean he was sort of fine in that game, but there was really, I thought, no necessity in repeating the entire thing. But yeah, deviates by not taking on d5.
Looks like now he has a bit of an initiative. Once again, when he gets in trouble, it's always his knight gets stuck on h6. And here, at least it needs a move or two to get back into the action, no?
Yeah, it's not that bad, but maybe he thinks he will go knight e7 and force a trade. But white generally doesn't really mind playing c3, c4, as you can see. Yeah, he wants to go c6. Rook a6 kind of shows his hand. Stops knight b6, and now he will just play c6. Forcing the knight away, but white has a decent control over the d-file. Just how happy are you here? I think you are once again quite seriously worse. Takes, rook d3, rook d6. This is not pleasant at all.
Maxime, yeah, it's queen a6. Yeah, to repeat that it's just odd to me.
Yeah, I don't know. This doesn't look right. It's not really, horrible, but maybe it is now. Now that knight e7, knight h4 happened, yeah, you kind of start assuming white has a way to just switch to direct mating attack. Like queen d2, knight c5, knight g6 might just be winning.
After queen d2, king g7, would you go queen h6 just for show?
Sorry. Knight f5 now?
Yeah, knight f5 is better. He goes knight f5.
No, I mean, like, I really don't understand what's happening here. Like, why are we f6 though? We don't have that many attackers, so maybe black actually ends up somehow surviving this. But
queen g6, we can't go to the rook ending.
Yeah, king f8. Maybe you don't have more than a perpetual here, somewhat stunningly, but. Yeah, I mean, Levon was running tremendous risks in this game.
Computer says white is winning. Queen d2 was not the way, apparently, though. So.
Probably. Yeah, maybe some sort of g4, g5 was winning, just continue
directly
to add attackers to the position. Yeah, but even this, you see, white is a sort of a full piece down, and the machine doesn't say he is worse. So clearly, there's a lot here to compensate for the sacrifice material, and it's also a lot easier to play this position with white than with black. Because pushing things forward is a lot simpler. And now some sort of queen c4, queen h4 will be winning, I assume, and then I don't know, rook d3 somewhere or something. Yeah, exactly.
Push it real good.
King g2 might be very strong, actually. Yeah, and rook h3. Yeah, GG's. That one is over.
That's game. MVL with a 1-point lead.
Yeah.
Levon Aronian now with the white pieces. He is showing more of his sideline repertoire here. This is, of course, also the famous line. played by Peter Svidler against Garry Kasparov in the year 1997.
Yeah, I wasn't. Well, okay. So in this game, Levon actually does this without even bothering to castle, and it's curious. Maybe he goes bishop d3 now and hopes to postpone the taking on c6 for too long. But yeah, black is completely fine. Maybe black is better. Probably.
You almost
not.
feel like going e5, sacrificing a pawn, and then just standing.
He blundered knight c6, queen d3. I'm pretty sure he should have started with knight takes c6, and now he doesn't get the win the pawn back.
Maxime just waited for the bullet, and now he's cruising again.
Yeah, maybe it's still fine for white, sort of, but yeah, knight d3, knight d5. You definitely prefer black. Knight d3, maybe rook a d8 actually, and then rook takes d2, rook takes e3, rook takes d2. You can't even take maybe. Rook d8. What is he planning to do after rook d8? I think he loses material.
My best guess is he wants to move the knight away.
Yeah. Whoa, not rook e3 here? That's very weird. Now we go knight b3 and we have sort of survived the worst. It's still not pleasant after knight d5, but I thought we as in white were kind of lost there. Still very, very unpleasant though. Bishop g5, maybe, no, bishop takes b2 cannot be played, but now knight b4, there's all kinds of forks being threatened. This is ugly. This is ugly. And
also, yeah. Maxime is not the kind of guy you want
ironic
with knight forks. Yeah. This is just
no. This is going to end up badly. Yeah, and when we were discussing the chances, this probably loses a piece to takes knight f6 and then g5, right? Yeah, this loses
obviously
a lot of material. Yeah, I think Levon absolutely needed to start well in the bullet. Well, that's also a misclick, but he was completely lost anyway. Yeah, it doesn't really matter.
Up to this escalated quickly. All of a sudden, it's an uphill battle for Levon Aronian. Again, the great news for us is that Jake Loans is back from his meeting. And he's saying, that's another hour. I will not get back. Now that you're here with us, I do promise, Jake Loans, that you will get back the next 20 minutes.
Please don't play queen a6 again. Come on.
Finally, not allowing c5. Come on.
Thank you. Like, well, what was...
How hard can this be?
I mean, clearly he didn't want to allow before, but why are we worried about this? Just take, play, I don't know, a move of some description, g6, h6, whatever.
h6, yeah. This is not so scary. Knight d5, you can always chop off.
Yeah, you just take and you're completely fine. This is a pretty decent King's Indian. Yeah, this is
figured it out.
Exactly what I've been expecting for 2 games, and he kept on allowing that other position, which was genuinely risky.
Sicko.
Still, it does feel like MVL is just genuinely slightly faster and slightly more precise when the clocks really run down. So.
He does know his way around the mouse.
Yeah, rook a8 is actually playable here, b5, rook a1. So b4 hasn't really done very much. It was sort of intended to stop this, but it doesn't actually stop it at all.
Nice little detail.
Yeah.
Boom, boom.
Yeah, and rook a6, of course, we take with the queen. We don't allow that fork again. So knight c2, that's an admission that you have to start.
Well, you're worse now.
Sort of paying attention to equalizing, but you're probably not much worse. The knight returns to e3, and your weaknesses are very, very hard to get to. But you're definitely not better.
I'm more worse. The queen is scary.
Yeah, you definitely have to. You have to pay attention. Yeah, knight g4 is a clever little move to change the structure.
That's his point. Whoa! There goes the queen. Blunder by the French maestro, and it's only up 1.
Yeah, and there's still plenty of time. They played 3 games in. Yeah,
that the queen was under attack.
The speed with which he played knight f1 really felt like maybe he made a pre-move. I think he expected a g4 and he pre-moved knight f1. I have a feeling this is maybe what happened there.
Could be.
Because it appeared on the board instantaneously after queen d1 check. I don't think anybody is that fast. I think you get that timing when you pre-moved something.
Gotcha. We're playing this position again where, Levon has been getting excellent positions out of these types of situations. Also, I think this position is already better for white. So we'll see.
This is not what I expected. This is a bit strange to me. I expected, also he takes d5 is not what I expected at all. This sequence is confusing.
It reminds me of some old Korchnoi games in the Trompovsky, even against Karpov. I think he won a nice game with his takes on f6, d5 stuff. Pretending I know like classical games here, but the momentum is back with Levon.
Yeah, and after a4, you don't have a very comfortable reply because you've just moved the rook away from the a file. A4, b4, Lev just goes cb4, cb4, rook c1 or something. Yeah, this is now like genuinely unpleasant, I think, for black. Yeah, knight a5. We take. No, the knight actually has a c5 square now. That was clever by MVL. This maybe is not that bad, honestly. Knight c5. We have some jumps. Knight d3 has to be not blundered. Also d6, d5 immediately maybe, but knight c5 is a bit too good to not play. And Levon actually gives up the e4 and a4 both were hanging there.
Wow, Lawrence with the jokes in the chat. Did you hear about the Russian coffeehouse player who was obsessed with taking pieces? I think his name was Mr. Chopov. That's pretty good, Lawrence.
That is, stellar stuff.
I only heard about the dull Russian world champion in Queen's Gambit. His name was Mr. Borgov. It's not even a joke.
Yeah, it's also not a Russian name, but
I've heard that this name sounds very strange to Russian ears.
Yeah, it's just completely made up.
Can't they use a real name? How hard can it be? I can Google like Ivanov or something.
I think they wanted something that wasn't Ivanov, but they've gone like the full Monty there and landed somewhere completely uninhabitable.
But if it was an American, he wouldn't be called Mr. Yankee Man, no? Like
probably not. Well, okay. I thought
back to chess.
Yeah, I thought there was a piece blunder, but there wasn't. Yeah, MVL now probably favored to convert this because he also has more time on the clock, and it probably is just objective. Although now it's a rook end game, and the rook end game is not going to be that easy to win, but you still assume that it's easier to play with the
h4, h5 is in time to generate some counterplay.
Yeah,
question
I'm not sure about GH, but question mark. Yeah, there's a. King c7, king b6. Yeah, you do get the feeling. Although, now you get the frontal checks, and it's very difficult to push the pawn forward. That's very
checks.
Yeah, there's very smartly done by Levon. King c3, rook a1. Yeah, king b3, rook a1. The thing is, if you somehow if you don't guess correctly where the MVL is moving the king, and you make one misplay here, you end up allowing a5. And with the pawn on a5, it probably is back to being completely lost. But as is, you expect Lev to save this quite comfortably, I guess.
f3. He wants rook h1. Or
yeah, I guess he wants rook h1. Yeah, it's
b6 back.
Not what I expected.
Or rook h5. Now he goes back.
Yeah.
I'm surprised he doesn't go for some f4 business to advance here, but he probably knows what he's doing.
King f5. Yeah, we can start pushing our own guys to start simplifying. Yeah. Yeah, and this is where the 1 second increment obviously is so crucial, because a normal bullet game would have been over by now in one way or the other, unless we're talking about like proper bullet geniuses like, I don't know, Penguin or somebody who can make like 30 moves on a minute somehow. Is this a draw for you? I think no, there was a skew.
Are you saying proper bullet geniuses can make 30 moves in a minute?
I can't say 30 words in a minute.
No, you meant in a second or something.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
No, there are some.
MVL wins this. These pawns are not going anywhere with the king on f8.
Yeah, this is sort of what you expect. Eventually, you make some kind of an inaccuracy, and the a pawn starts running, and then you panic, and you end up doing something like what actually ended up happening.
And
back
we
to
get
plus
another
2.
Portland, now that MVL is back with a 2-point lead. This is an understandable choice. Also, he really wasn't getting anywhere in his Italian anymore. This is a well-known line. White has 2 bishops, but black has a rocky solid structure. Levon will know where to place the pieces here.
Yeah, it's also, I think, sort of well analyzed theoretically. There have been sort of unbelievable amounts of games already drawn like this. All of this is well researched. I think you're even supposed to play Queen C7 here, and Queen F5 for some reason is not playable. I can't really figure out why. Maybe Knight E4, Knight F2 even works. But yeah, also G6 and then Queen C7 is probably completely fine.
How bad can it be? Queen 7, Queen D4, maybe you can fish a bit, but C5 worst case scenario. C5 I would like.
Yeah, and this is where this idea that the knight on F6 in these structures, even seemingly you have this kind of glaring weakness on E5, but white has no light pieces equipped at all to exploit it, so you end up being completely fine. I could even maybe make an argument that these types of endgames occasionally you win them with black. I think there was a very famous endgame that Sasha Grishuk won against Ray Robson in one of the team events. Maybe it was in the World Teams in Sakhnadzor, maybe?
No, that was, I can't recall either. I think I was there and I wasn't on that one, but yeah, I know.
So black is fine. Although MVL here, he's actually made, I mean, I can't really work out why I cannot just take twice here, but I guess Queen B3 is very strong, followed by Bishop B2, yeah? I'm guessing this is the point. But of course, C5 is not really such a deadly threat. We can just go like, I don't know, King F6 here and ignore it. This is what he does. But I think the bigger issue for Levon here is that once again, he is down 20 seconds and it's a simple enough position, but you still have to play it. And eventually there might be a question you have to answer.
It's a position where it would help to have 20 seconds to calculate at some point, maybe.
Yeah, like if eventually you are forced to calculate something, you might need those 20 seconds. Queen D7 here, you cannot play Queen E7, I assume, or at least you don't really want to play King E7, but you can play King F6 because Knight D2 check could not have been allowed, I think. Although, hang on a second, I think maybe he could have. Whoa, and he does he blunder something? Maybe not. Maybe it's still
Compy bar was indicating there was some blunder with Knight G5, but
yeah, but I can't figure out what it was. And yeah, MVL just takes a repetition here because
revisit this moment.
Yeah. What was the huge mistake here? Queen B7. You can just take Queen B7.
Queen B7, Knight F3, Queen C6.
Queen C6 and Queen F3. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that was the point.
They probably spotted King F3, Queen E4 checkmate, but this is sort of unpleasant.
Yeah. And
we are debating this line again. They are sticking to their guns, huh?
Yeah, they're still playing that, and I think Lev had a pleasant enough position in the previous game, so it makes perfect sense for him to continue. I'm somewhat surprised that this is the best black can get against this system. Honestly, I would assume that.
I don't think it is, man. Maxim just sticks to it.
Are you supposed to play C4 here? Probably not. Yeah, I mean, it's an option, but I don't know if it's a great one.
In general, I don't think the black position is great here. He allowed the knight to get to G3, then D4 was always an option. Not sure why he keeps doing it like this. Now he lost the bishop and the knight comes there, though, so this went well.
Yeah, this I think is fine now. In fact, from my early childhood Zaitsev playing days, I would feel this is very good. Although G6 H4 is worrying, I think maybe we were not supposed to.
You want to go H5, but Knight G5 and D5, I guess. He goes Queen G5 threatening Queen G6, but no.
C4 takes
not going to work.
H4, Rook A6, Rook E6. Yeah, we don't really have very much in the way of jumps here. Black is probably fine. That was a good spot. I mean, but I still don't quite understand why we didn't play Knight G5 instead of Queen G5. Queen E2, yeah, the bishop can come to H6 if we want, or actually Bishop E7, Bishop takes H4 is a much more straightforward approach as well. Yeah, MVL appears to be very much in the ascendancy here, although it doesn't hang yet because Bishop D7 in the end, right? You can't actually take here, as far as I can tell. Yeah, this prompts Rook C7, G3, and now Bishop F8 returning to that diagonal, bringing it back to H6. 92 is quite strong actually because C4 is hanging. Lev has sort of reestablished some sort of control here, but we're still expecting this to be decided on the last seconds, and
C7.
96 is very, very strong. Yeah, white is probably
Pawn once again hanging.
Yeah, something like queen d2 here, I expect to be close to winning, and eventually something happens to the f7 pawn. Yeah, like you can't really defend positions like this. Yeah, I don't know. Rook d8 just wins the game on the spot. That's actually quite cute. Yeah, just absolutely catches the rook c8, rook c7 is the simplest one. Yeah, game over. Game over.
And what's the margin? Just 1 point lead for Maxime. Stays exciting.
Again. Yeah, 1 point again, and that's probably still 4 games to go. Definitely 3, maybe 4. So plenty of play yet. Plenty of play. Yeah.
You're good at math. I will trust you.
I noticed when they finished game 3, they were 8 minutes into the portion. I'm not really very good at math, but I did keep some track. Yeah, and he goes back to taking with the knight, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know what we're trying to achieve here.
Once again, this position, which doesn't look better for white at all, in my humble opinion. But it keeps occurring. It's a narrow debate.
Yeah, and this is also sort of where I would differ sort of wildly in approach if I were playing this match in, frankly, either of their spots. I would have gotten bored with discussing the same position over and over again, and I would have started playing some random rubbish, frankly. Whereas they clearly actually thought about what they will play against the quote-unquote main repertoires, and they're sticking to their guns 3 hours in.
I like that you found a way to praise Maxime for repeating the same line over and over, where clearly he's not getting anywhere.
No, praise is not the word I would use. I don't understand why he's doing that, but it's also like a completely different approach to what I would think is like, even psychologically, this has to be very difficult to just keep getting these positions. And really, what's the joy? E4, c4, c4. Black is slightly better. Not by much, but definitely slightly better. Maybe even like if. Yeah, after knight h2, I would assume black is a lot better. King f7, rook e8, I don't know. c3 also is quite strong. But MVL is just sort of betting that he will find some kind of a tactic here to scare Levon, and Levon says, no, I do not scare easily. I do not believe you have anything at all here. Rook e7 doesn't generate a threat. I mean, looks nice, but doesn't actually generate a threat. You can... Yeah, rook d7, but also you could just pass, I think. Rook e8 is a bit scary. Now, knight f6, queen g6, yeah, the gamble actually pays off.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's heartbreak for
knight takes d5. Yeah, that's not good. That's not going to be enjoyable. And he was doing very well.
He must be so upset that he ran into this.
Yeah.
And now it's 2 points. 8 minutes, that's what? 3 games max?
Yeah, 3 games max, I would think. Yeah, he needs to win the next 2, basically, I think, and then it will obviously come to... Well, okay, so finally some rather forcing attempt to do something in the opening here from MVL, which we kind of expected for a while now. Knight a6 or knight d7 or something, I guess. But I'm not sure I like this. Like, it's a full pawn. There will be some compensation, but so it's still a full pawn. Although, yeah, just 93 and something like b6, bishop b7, and it's going to be kind of annoying to deal with that knight. b6, bishop a6 as well. Yeah, it's going to be. Yeah, this is good compensation.
This is actually not what the doctor ordered for Levon Aronian.
I mean, it doesn't really matter what the position is. You just play a4, rook a2. You hope that eventually you somehow come out of the corner. But yeah, I mean, if we talk about the objective evaluation of this, it's probably completely fine for black. There are no issues whatsoever. Bishop b4, bishop c2, and just go back to b7 or something. I don't know.
That is what he does. Bishop d3, of course. Draw, not really an option for Aronian. The rook goes back.
Yeah, the thing is, even if you let's say get the rooks off and you stabilize, that structure on the queen side is going to be so hard to move. But yeah, I mean, this now is quite pleasant for white. We have safeguarded our king side against bishop on b7. We can go king e2, bishop b4 in some order. Yeah, I think it's clever to position the bishop on e8 where it stops white from sort of ever playing b3, b4. Going to be very, very difficult for Levon to make any progress. Just a very, very decent positional compensation for black, and also black's play is just kind of obvious. Just shuffle, shuffle, shuffle. Although, yeah, white is making some kind of slow incremental progress here. Rook g5, though, yeah, that was true until we gave up the pawn on e5 for not very much. Black is better now. Yeah, if MVL actually wins this pretty much ends the match, you would say. 3 points difference with currently 5.5 minutes left is just basically completely over. Even the draw more or less finishes the match, but the black...
This is it. But it was close.
Yeah, I mean, if Lev wins that previous game where he was, I'm pretty sure he was a pawn up for not very much there, for about 2 moves in a row. Yeah, if he wins that, it's actually equal with like 7 minutes to go or whatever it was. But doesn't seem like, whoa, what? King g4 wins, right? King g4, e5, rook d7. King g4 actually wins the game here. Whoa.
Should b7 loses it.
Yeah, and that's...
it's a thin line between win and loss in the game of chess.
Yeah, that was... You would argue that, you know, that chance was not really supposed to be there, but it was there, and it would have made the match somewhat interesting with only a point difference. With I have a feeling the score on my screen is not quite right.
There's a squirrel on your screen.
A score, yeah. I think he's up 3. My screen currently says.
Do we have the score updated?
I'm not entirely sure if
here
that's...
Here comes the pawn.
It is right.
Again.
Okay, so if he was only down 2, then yeah, the entire
Do you even math, Peter?
I clearly don't. Yeah, and yeah, MVL wins this one, and yeah, that is just genuinely over if MVL manages to stretch the next one for a bit. If he somehow blunders a piece by move 10, then maybe we still have a match. But
you were right. MVL too strong in the fastest portion. Coming through here. Is the match just over? Are they done? Did Levon say GGO? Because I don't see a new game starting.
Yeah, it's a bit strange. I'm sure
usually they just keep playing.
I think there's a game now.
Oh yeah, there it is.
Yeah, I don't think they're allowed to resign, because many people would have been sorely tempted even sort of before the bullet portion started. Some Hikaru or Magnus matches come to mind where, you know, by the time 3+1 portion finishes, the score is such that I think the temptation to just say, you know, enough is enough, stop, he's already dead kind of thing is very much
not how we do it. This is, yeah, a bit of an offbeat line. White is not supposed to be doing particularly well here. I'm somewhat surprised by c4. Usually the things b3, bishop f5, point c1, even without the exchange, aren't supposed to be that great for black.
Yeah, I'm surprised by MVL not playing e4 on the previous move, but he's still okay, I guess. I thought you could be slightly more ambitious, but yeah, even this is completely fine. Yeah, b3 now, breaking the structure apart, because I don't think black can somehow.
Sometimes there's some in a5 bc, bishop a3, but probably not with the bishop on e6. No.
Yeah, this is quite good for white now. Yeah, you can even castle into it, but you could also probably stay in the center for a while, because the king on e1 is quite safe as long as you don't do anything stupid. Yeah, bishop f5 maybe. Although after 97, I'm not sure if we actually want to take, so he does take. I think this makes castling into the black play slightly safer. But yeah, c4, yeah, bishop b4, knight f3, g4. It gets a bit messy, but not very much, I think. I don't think black has enough attackers on the king's side to actually do anything. And now white will be better everywhere after knight takes g5. I think Lev basically checked out.
He's done with his match, and it's more than understandable. He has no shot at coming back. The chat has already moved to debating Netflix shows, so they don't even care anymore.
Yeah. It's nice to pretend they did at some point.
They do care.
Yeah, I mean,
Borsi.
This is an interesting position to discuss if only this game mattered. The fact that this game is purely academic is sapping all the joy out of it.
Let's do plugs before this is all over. Follow
Absolutely.
Peter's Twitch channel, Pulberta. He mainly plays Hearthstone and Fall Guys, but sometimes there's some chess talk thrown in there. Is that a fair description? I guess not. There's lots of chess, lots to learn from the.
There's not been a single Fall Guys stream, even though I actually bought a controller specifically to stream Fall Guys, and then
we might stream Fall Guy in the distant future. So follow Pulberta, check out chess24.com, great website that I work for. Currently, you can get 40% off the Chess24 premium membership with the code SPEED20, chess24.com/premium. Check it out. Check out my video series on the 50 greatest players of all time, together with our dear friend, Peter Hein Nielsen. What else is there to plug? Yanistan, the Twitch channel. It will happen. It will happen. We got Mr. Dodgy on the case. Mr. Dodgy, as Peter and I know, is the best we have. Not just in the whole group, but both in chat, in chess, and in Twitch. So it's going to happen. Anything else? I buy my Chessable course, chessable.com/Jan, or buy other Chessable courses, whatever floats your boat. But of course, mine is by far the best until Peter's is released.
And then it will, once mine is released, the fact that Jan's is the best will be settled once and for all. Although
it will just show how great the difference is to the other courses. What is this game? Levon, is he queening a pawn here?
He is winning, but this also says last game of the session on my screen, so I think they're just having fun, queening or not queening some pawns, and they both know this is completely irrelevant. Oh, okay. Many things are happening here for no particular reason, but yeah, it probably ends up with Lev winning. Curiously, MVL refuses to resign here. Yeah, h7, e6. Yeah, I don't know, or even g6. Yeah, I thought e6 check. No, e6 checks wasn't working. So, what is this? Is this winning? Probably is winning. Question mark? Question mark? Yeah, he's winning. Yeah. Well done to Lev, who brings this one home. And yeah, the final margin will look reasonably close, but. Oh, they're
starting one more. They could have extended this for 8 more seconds, but that's horrible clock management. No, they actually made it. Did they? Did they not?
Probably not. No, I think the server kind of starts a new one, and then they get told that there's no more time. And I remember famously Alexander Grishuk describing this precise moment as his worst feeling ever in his entire chess career, and I thought, he is probably exaggerating for, dramatic effect. And then I asked him privately when he wasn't on air, and he said, no, this is absolutely the worst I ever felt playing chess, when he was playing against young Krzysztof Duda. And they had an incredibly close match in one of the early editions of this same tournament. And I think he was leading by 2 with like 2 or 3 games left. And he somehow lost 3 in a row. And he pressed the rematch button, and at that point admins intervened and said, sorry, no more games today, you lose by 1. And he quoted that as the most upsetting moment of his entire chess life, considering the fact that he lost a final candidates match in 2011, which would have given him a shot at the title. I would have thought this is maybe a slight exaggeration.
I can never tell if he mentions these Blitz or online Blitz stories to show his support for the format, or if he really means it, but it does sound upsetting. Congratulations to Mr. Maxime Vachier-Lagrave, who moves on to the semifinals in the chess.com Speed Chess Championship, where he might face the former in his 20s world champion Magnus Carlsen, who has a tough match tomorrow against Vlad Artemiev. Peter, we'll be back here to cover that very match earlier,
Absolutely.
no? 2 p.m.
Yeah.
My time, that's 4 p.m. your time.
It's going to be at a slightly different time, but yeah, we're definitely doing it tomorrow. So tune in. As you have seen today, we are the best at what we do. Haha. So why not watch? No reason, right?
Yeah. Or go to work or take care of your kids. One of these options. Or watch Ted Lasso. But
yeah, probably that. Yeah.
If you've exhausted all these options, 2 p.m. Central European, whatever time zone we're in, tomorrow,